Doing good, are you?
I'm copying you. I was gonna call you. I was gonna call you.
Right. Where you flying to? That must be good business then.
Where?
A safe flight.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Flight's at 12:30, so if I leave at 9:30. Okay, it's some. You think you'll be out here at 9:30? You think we'll be out here at 9:30?
Really?
No, that's, I said, I don't need to, I said, I have to, because you never know, Hoping, but.
Not gonna happen. I'm a realist, John.
We had a shorter meeting, it went, remember, when 11:30, yeah,
That was the shortest one we ever had.
it was 11:30.
I think that one was because we took stuff off.
That little puppy? One of them. 11 months.
About 100 pounds.
Yeah, he's gotten big. That's 11 months right
Kind of looks like a Great Dane.
there. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
It's got to.
Yeah.
This is a good month,
We used to do that when we had Cocker Spaniels.
you know.
Their hair gets all, they get sticker.
Had a grass in the back, so it's kind
Yeah,
of.
but
Needles and stuff.
Yeah, you can't keep them from, when you take.
Again, they gotta get in the dirt sometimes.
Wait. Trying to start the video. Okay, we all set? All right. That we will open our Selma City Council regular meeting, June 17th, 2025 at 6:04 PM in the Selma City Council chambers, 1710 Tucker Street, Selma, California, 93662. The teleconference phone number is 1301-715-8592, and the webinar ID is 891-6864-5005. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press *9 to raise your hand, and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press *6 to unmute and mute yourself. Notice to meeting attendees, members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of threatening or abusive language or other acts which disturb, disrupt, or impede or otherwise render the orderly conduct of a city council meeting infeasible. Tonight, it appears we do not have a member of our clergy for an invocation, unless I'm mistaken. So would everybody please bow your heads and we will take a prayer. Dear Lord, please grant us the wisdom to know your will and to do your will tonight and to do the most benefit for the amazing citizens and residents of Selma. We thank you for this opportunity to make you proud of us, and we hope for all your wisdom and all your goodness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Can we please stand for the pledge, allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and.
Hey, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Avalos.
Here.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here, potential conflicts of interest. Any council member has a potential conflict of interest and now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions. To better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation, items on the agenda may not be presented or acted on in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code, Section 54954.2B. Oral communications at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just present on the changes. I have a personal matter, so I'll be stepping away at 9:30, please.
Okay.
If it goes that far.
With that, we'll move on to, so noted, thank you. With that, we'll move on to oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item on the regular meeting agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not in the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody who'd like to make a comment at this time? Please step up.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. Moses Stites, General Manager, Fresno County Rural Transit Agency. My pleasure to be here this evening. I just kind of want to give you an update on 3 items, and I'll start with the first one in that Walmart has been gracious enough to let us put in a bus bench there at Walmart at that location. So we're going to work with the manager of the store. We have a lot of seniors who go there and do a lot of their shopping, walking, resting, and stay in a air-cooled building. However, there's no bench outside there, and some of them do require long time standing. So we did acquire a couple of benches from our partners in Fresno Area Express. So we'll be installing that bench over there, hopefully in the near future. And the second one is a plaque that we're going to dedicate to one of your recent residents who passed away, Terry Serrano. And I'll be working on that for a bus shelter that we're going to place. He was an avid rider of FCRTA, as are many of your residents, which we're very proud to serve. And lastly, I just want to give you an update on Measure C maintenance facility that we are building in your lovely city. It's a $20 million facility, and Measure C is investing approximately $10 million toward that endeavor. Without the Measure C, that project would probably never get off the ground. And you're going to have a presentation on that here, and I don't want to steal the consultant's thunder or the executive director, Robert Phipps from FCOG, but I think it's worth mentioning because aside from roadway projects and other infrastructure, there are other amenities that Measure C does provide. Just to note, we do provide free transportation to all of your seniors, disabled, and veterans within the city of Selma. And we have 3 routes that traverse through the city of Selma. And I'd like to close with, at some point in time, I'll be in contact with Mr. Kunkel, city manager, your interim city manager, and I'd like to arrange a soft tour opening and maybe a lunch for you when you can all make it there, short of legal counsel not citing me for a Brown Act violation of having a meeting or something. I don't know, maybe we can get away with it somehow.
That won't happen.
Oh, okay, we won't get away with it. You got police here and fire, so I guess I'm trapped. But anyway, however the arrangements can be made, I'd really love to show you the facility. We've had many tours there from Caltrans to other organizations, and it's really something. And just to let you know, we're looking at a late July or August opening. We're still waiting for one more PG&E connection. I'm sorry, utility company connection. Once you see the facility, you'll understand why it took 2 years from groundbreaking. So with that, I conclude my remarks and thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Director. We're looking forward to that tour of the state-of-the-art maintenance facility. What the director didn't go into and say is it's a state-of-the-art charging facility. It has solar charging capability that is far beyond what most facilities have, and people are coming from all around. I know I was honored to go out there and say hello to several busloads full of Caltrans folks that came down just to study the charging technology for the buses. So it's truly groundbreaking. But at the same time, what really caught me tonight in your remarks was the plaque for Terry Serrano, who went to the viewing yesterday. Just a great guy, Selma native, and a real loss for him and his family. And the plaque for the bench at Walmart is another great thing you're doing. So thank you for always thinking about Selma and all the cities in Fresno County.
You're welcome. And we enjoy and want to continue the partnership with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other oral communications tonight? Come on up.
We'll take care of it.
All of a sudden.
Can
Okay,
you,
Mr. Martinez.
you leave your address?
Can we ask for Mr. Avalos? I think you've been very involved on this for a quick
Yeah,
comment.
I'm actually very involved. And, yeah,
Councilman Avalos.
as a counselor here, he has produced, evidence that alley pickup took place Mid-Valley. Not Mid-Valley, but Waste Management took place, picking up the trash in that particular area. So I guess we'll be discussing that issue. Mid-Valley, as a counselor on that issue, Joe.
Thank you. Next up for oral communications, come on up. What's your name, sir?
My claim, I submitted claim with Jenny on April the 15th. The damage was April 14th, about 10 p.m. I went to the city hall. I submit claim with Jenny on April 15, 25. Took me a lot work, but finally today the city manager, John, called me, told me my claim was rejected by the insurance company, and they recommend the city not to pay for to fix my car. And he told me if the insurance company rejected, we rejected too. So, but he asked me if I can come here and ask for help about other. I have all evidence here. I have all evidence about the pothole, how the pothole look like, how the big rock came off the pothole and damaged my car. I have how the damage was, how the tire here, the rocker panel on the car. I did police report that night, the same night. And I have witness also from the people live across the street from that's her handwriting and where she live. And she gave me statement about what happened. She seen it. I have also estimate for the fix. I'm kind of agree the estimate is kind of high, but this is how these people work. I don't know. That's how they work. But that's the estimate I had from them, and I have everything here as, and I put all that on the claim with Jenny also.
Got it. Thank you, sir. Your time's expired. Thank you. City Attorney, what is his avenue for redress now that the gentleman has submitted the claim to the city and the insurance company and both have been rejected? What is next in terms of any avenues with the city other short of legal action?
Well, his only recourse would be to file suit.
Okay.
And I would assume it'd be a small claim suit because it's a pothole damage to the car.
Small claims is 10,000 and under? What's the
I believe it's
limit?
5.
5,000 and under? Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for letting us know. Appreciate it. Anybody else with oral communications at this time?
Mayor, just for further clarification, we just received word this afternoon from Ames that they rejected that claim.
Got it. Thank you, City Manager.
Good evening, everybody. It's been a while. But anyway, I just wanted to start by thanking you guys for the donation for the Selma Little League. It was a great year. I'm a proud mama of my son and daughter who coached the minor Astros. They were the underdogs coming in, took on a team last minute so kids won't be dropped from the league, and they took first place in the division. So I was very proud of them. And they were sponsored by Trujillo Tax Service. And on behalf of the coaches, my son and my daughter, the team and the parents, we want to thank Mr. Trujillo for coming out on their last game, bringing them pizza and treats and spending time with the kids and the coaches and the parents. It was very nice and it was well appreciated. So we thank you so much for that. So actually my daughter, now that she took first place, she's actually the head coach of the All-Star team now. So she's coaching the All-Star team. They'll be playing on Tuesday here in Selma if you guys want to go out and support them, but we're really excited for her and I'm very proud. And this is what goes to show that if you put into your community, it makes a huge difference. There was a lot of these kids that never played before or knew little about baseball, and for them to come out in first place was a lot. My son and my daughter put in extra time. They rented the batting fields in Kingsburg for these kids. They had swim parties, pizza parties. They just went over and beyond for these kids. And this is something these kids will always remember. And so that's why I always instilled in my kids to give back to the community. So I'm very proud of them. And my last thing is, I know there's a postponement on the commissions, some of the commissions. But my recommendation is because we have lack of volunteers on some of our commissions, if maybe we could consider combining the Parks and Pioneer Village together. They kind of go hand in hand under the same umbrella as far as I'm concerned. I'm on the Parks and Recreation Commission. The Pioneer Village hasn't had any meetings at all, as far as I know, this past year. And so I think if we combine the two, we've had regular meetings with our group and Liz, and I just, I think because we have lack of volunteers, I think combining these two would really help us fill some of those gaps. And so that's just something that I was just maybe putting out there. Maybe that's something we can think about. Okay?
Thanks for your input. Thanks for your service too. Anybody else with a comment at this time? Anybody online or on the phone?
I see no hands raised at this time.
With that, we'll bring the matter back and end choral communications and move on to special presentations. Our first special presentation tonight is the Selma Police Department Canine Dog, Satin and Handler Officer High.
Such a good puppy.
He's cute. Satin.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce our newest canine team. This is Officer Anthony High. He's been with the department for 2.5 years. He's currently assigned to the patrol division. And with him there is his canine partner, Satin. She's a 3-year-old black lab, and she's been trained to detect firearms and ammunition, as well as narcotics. She can detect heroin, methamphetamine, as well as cocaine. They completed a 5-week intensive certification course through Top Dog Canine Kennel, who is our vendor for the city. And they train 20 hours a week to maintain their certification. Also like to thank the Selma Police Foundation, who funded the purchase of Satin, as well as the council for your continued support. We date back 50 years of having service dogs in the city, and that's a tribute. That Officer High and Satin.
I got to meet Satin earlier, and he is a very nice dog. She's a very nice doggy and quite a crime fighter too. She has a great future. What kind of service do you get from a dog typically engaged in this type of work?
Detection dogs usually last longer because they're not in and out of the car apprehending criminals. So 10 years is generally a roundabout time for detection.
Well, thank you and good luck. Thanks for coming out and letting us meet Satin. Well, I'm sure we'll see both of you around.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. So cute. Next item is number 2, item 1.2, which is a Measure C update by DK Associates LLC. Director Robert Phipps of Fresno Council of Governments.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, my name is Robert Phipps, Executive Director with Fresno Council of Governments. And tonight we have a presentation for you that is going to be offered by our consultant and project manager for the Measure C 2026 renewal effort, Kendall Flint. And with that, I'll be here and happy to answer any questions, provide any embellishments that you may require. But with that, I'll hand it over to Kendall.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I don't know if you can see me or not. You might just only be able to hear me, but I'm told that we can put the presentation up, so I'll be able to talk through that. I'm still just reveling about the dog. The dog is just the coolest. But if you can put the presentation up, I'm told that your folks are going to run that on your end, Patrick.
We're seeing it.
Okay, so let me pull it up on my end so I can see at the same time, because I can't see what you're seeing. Give me just a moment here. Just take me a second. Okay, so we'll go to the first slide. First of all, Measure C is not a new tax. This is basically a plan to continue the existing tax. So Measure C was actually originally passed in 1986. It lasted for a period of time, and then there was an effort in 2004, didn't pass, but then it passed again in 2006. So basically, all this does is raise money through a half-cent sales tax to fund local roads, public transit and infrastructure. And one thing that I think is really important for folks to understand is that, again, not a new tax, but without it, communities and cities like Selma are really having a challenge meeting their local maintenance needs. Next slide, please. Altogether, this particular measure has brought in over $10 billion. That's $2.1 billion that came in from the actual payment of the sales tax, and an additional $8 billion that came in from what we call leveraged funds. And that's when basically the folks from the Fresno Council of Governments and local agencies took their Measure C funds and then applied for grants at the state and federal level, which means for every dollar that comes in, you're getting back about $4 in terms of the infrastructure investments in these communities and in the county. Next slide, please. Now, for each household, it's really about $8 a month. I mean, some folks may be a little higher, a little bit lower, but about $8 a month. And this whole piece of revenue stream is really only for what happens here in Fresno. So Sacramento cannot touch it. It cannot be used for any other purpose. And I think one thing that's really important to note is that of the funds that come in, that $2.1 billion, about 25% of that comes in from visitors to the area. That's your friends and family that are coming to see you in Selma. It's people coming in to go to Yosemite and other places that come through our communities, but they're using the roads, so that's appropriate for them to, of course, contribute. Now, this year, next slide, please. This time, the measure is being developed in a different way. We have a steering committee that has representatives from each of the local communities, local cities, as well as the county, and then some of the, I'll say like the building industry, Chamber of Commerce, others. And they are taking a look based on all the information we're getting from the public outreach about what should be the length of the measure. Should it be 20 years? Should it be 30 years? How should we allocate revenue by category? The current measure allocated funds in a different way. So at this juncture, we're trying to find a way to make it a little bit simpler. What do you want for local streets and roads? What do you want for regional or larger projects? What about bike and pedestrian or transit projects? Or maybe you've got another idea altogether. Anyway, this group is looking at that over the summer to really find out what the public really wants to see. And then we're also going to be talking about oversight and reporting requirements, which is really how each individual jurisdiction reports back on how their money was spent. Because we know people are very interested, most of us are, when you spend money on taxes, you want to know where the money went. So the idea is to perhaps strengthen the reporting, make it easier for people to find out that information. And of course, also look at the reporting requirements. Next slide, please. If you'd like to learn more about how funds were spent in Selma, you can go to measurec.com. And as you go look at this, it'll allow you to open up and see where the money has been for the last 20 years. Next slide, please. And what you'll see is that Selma actually benefited quite a lot, $10.5 million. Measure C funds have improved streets on Stillman, High Street, Floral Avenue. It's worked on all the streets and alleys for upgrades. There are traffic information that's come up, traffic upgrades that have come up, and also the ability to get those, again, matching funds and things that come forward. So this is not a small amount of money. And for agencies like Selma, this is a really important part of your local road maintenance program. And at this point, a substantial amount of funds go every year to make sure that your local streets and roads are looking good. Next slide, please. So when you look at this, the overall renewal plan, again, this is a new plan. It's not a new tax, but it's definitely a new plan. Next slide, please. And one of the things we're asking folks is basically, how would you like to see the money spent? So 20 years ago, maybe things were very different. There was much more of a need for some of the regional projects on 180, 41. What we're hearing now is people have a real concern about some of the local road projects that are happening in their areas. the condition of their local roads. We're also looking at the increase in transit services. Are people wanting to take the bus more often, or point-to-point services, or other types of things? So we're giving everyone an opportunity to really ask what they want and tell us. Next slide. If you look at this website, which is measurec2026.com, you can specifically tell us how you would allocate the funds and how you would like to see them spent in the years ahead. There's also opportunities for you to tell us maybe there's another category that we haven't thought about. And so it's really important that everyone gets on board to share that information, because that's the only way we can really create a measure that reflects what the local agencies want to see, what local communities want to see, and what is important to Fresno County residents overall. And next slide. Finally, what we're doing is a series of workshops and opportunities for people to come out and tell us what they want. Now, one of our partners that's doing the outreach, they've been in your community and in others doing one-on-one, door-to-door canvassing, talking with folks. But we also have a series of workshops coming up in July, September, and we want you to know that these are happening and hopefully to attend these and share your ideas with us. The most important thing of all of this is to make sure that the general public, the community, the voters, the people who live in Selma and other communities are able to share their ideas with folks and tell us what they would like to see. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions you might have for that last slide. And just, again, really hoping that people take the opportunity to get informed for both measurec.com, which tells you what's happened before, and measurec2026.com, which gives you an opportunity to tell us what you'd like to see in the future. And with that, I'm open to answer any questions that you might have, as well as Executive Director Phipps.
And we just wanted to offer our thanks and appreciation for giving us the time to visit you today and to offer the presentation and certainly answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director Phipps. Does council have any questions?
No, I'll be honest with you guys. Measure C in the past has helped the City of Selma, not just City of Selma, Fresno, other cities, on their roads, transportation. We wouldn't be having like 180 and all these other roads and these freeways without Measure C, transportation. It was created to actually improve the city's transportation and get to point A to point B less time. And I look at it now, and we're growing very fast, and I see the importance how Measure C is needed. And there's an old saying, it ain't broken, don't fix it. You know what I mean? We're working fine right now.
Appreciate that, council member. And you make a very important point, which unfortunately is lost on some folks, is that they'll see some of the numbers that are associated with the given community and they'll think, well, we're not getting our share back, but they don't think in terms of the transit funding that has come through their communities. They don't think of the regional programs like you mentioned, the big highway and freeway improvements that have occurred. Are you driving State Route 180? Are you driving 41? Are you driving, these are also all Measure C projects. Senior script, a variety of special programs that the jurisdictions either receive directly or certainly are able to compete for. And so, ADA accessibility, as I mentioned, public transportation, transit-oriented development. There's a variety of programs in the measure now. Doesn't mean that they will still be there under the renewal effort. That's what we're finding out right now. What is it that people want to see? But we believe that the rising tide has raised all boats. So thank you for the comments.
And I'll be frank with you. Over the years, I mean, as I grew up in the valley. I didn't get very far. I've seen the valley grow. My father was in construction. I'll be honest with you. He built these bridges, believe it or not, up from Bakersfield all the way to Sacramento. But I look back now, how important it is. Transportation has come a long ways. I look at 41 when we go to the coast. I look at 152. I look at all these areas that, we went from one area to another, how it's improved and how important Measure C has become for the future. And I think we should continue the path the way it is. Cause it's an old saying, it's working and expanding and it's ideal.
Thank you very much, council member.
And just to bring it locally, the major project that we've had using the major Measure C funds would be the Golden State Corridor project, which took a while to get in, like 20 years, but it finally came in and it was worth the wait. And that road past McDonald's used to be just a horror show just to go past that. I mean, it cost so much more maintenance on your car just to drive back and forth on that rough road. That got redone, repaved, rebuilt, and now the roads around the railroads are getting repaved and redone with the railroad clearance. So at Mountain View, you go see Measure C funds in progress, but the city also gets a Measure C allocation every single year. And it's important to know that. And it's also important to know that these TDA funds that our finance director is talking about, that's because FCRTA makes enough on Measure C that they can be generous enough to present us smaller cities with those TDA funds. And we're talking 1.7, 1.8 million bucks a year when we show them audited financials. So it's really material. Measure C really helps us out a lot. And my last editorial on this is, in the future, we really should pass this in 2026 because these large regional projects, if you can prove your project is regional like Golden State, you can get an overpass. You can help solve problems. I think that meant go for it or good, keep going. But
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks, Kendall. So we have the problem on Floral right now, and that may approach a regional project with Measure C. So that might be a candidate project in the future that's going to take a boatload of money to do that we don't have locally, but Measure C is a candidate for helping us with these major road projects. Anybody else on council before we open it up?
I just wanted to add to that, Mr. Phibbs, is it's very important to get the community, everyone educated and letting them know that this is not an additional tax. This is a tax that has been going on for years and years and years. And it's important that we continue it and we support it, because not getting them educated and having them understand how important this is to our communities, small communities like ours, like Selma, if this doesn't pass, we won't get this funding and it'll hurt our city. So what I'm asking is your website, is it user-friendly where you can go into the website? And my second question is it bilingual? Because we need to also educate our bilingual community to let them know in Spanish that this is very important, because sometimes they don't understand, or they just see it's another tax. But educating our bilingual community will help support this measure.
As I understand it, both the website and the two, if you can go back. I
No,
don't know if you-
I'm happy to answer this, Robert. Both sites are bilingual.
Right.
Both
Okay.
opportunities for doing the build a plan are bilingual.
Right.
And we've spent a substantial amount of time and energy actually presenting and with Linguistica, which was one of our sub-consultants, they've been conducting meetings and outreach in Spanish. And
Okay.
we understand that in Fresno County especially, and actually it's not just Spanish, there are also some other languages there, but Spanish is a predominant language in most of the places that we're in. And you're absolutely right. And just for a moment, it's not just Spanish speakers. English speakers don't always understand the acronyms and the things that are carried along with transportation planning. So one of the things we've been very conscious about is making sure that we're presenting information in understandable language, like the difference between a bike and pedestrian plan or a trail or regional projects or local roads, as opposed to the more flowery language, because it's important. People don't understand environmental compliance or blah, blah, blah. It gets kind of messy. So
Right,
appreciate your
right.
comment, council member. It's very important, and we are absolutely taking that very seriously.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody from the public with a question or comment about Measure C? Anybody online or on the phone?
I know.
Very much. Looks like we have a comment.
Rose Robertson, 1057 Mill Street. I just want to emphasize again that we do get it out there to the fact that this is not an additional tax, because they are not going to want to hear that. This is something that's been in place. And for example, we just had a gentleman here complaining about pothole. We can all agree to the fact that I meet clients in Fowler and I meet them in Kingsburg for business, and we're on Golden State, which I go on. And let me tell you, the last couple of years have been outstanding to drive on smooth roads. The one by McDonald's used to be a disaster, the one on Golden State, and I could tell you how many tires I popped there. But now that everything's been done, I think another thing that's going to be really important to really communicate to the people of all people in all neighboring cities and everywhere else is this tax is in place. We need to get that out there. And if it doesn't pass, what's going to happen to this money? We need to continue to see our roads getting fixed. We need to show proof on where places have been fixed so they can understand. You want to keep getting your tires popped, or do you want to keep seeing these smooth roads and drive on smooth roads? And I'm only talking about us neighboring cities because I'm on Golden State a whole lot. I don't really go on the freeway. If I could if I don't need to go on the freeway, I'd rather go on the Golden State, especially with it being fixed. It's just outstanding for me. So hopefully it really gets out to a lot of the people that if it's not additional taxes from the people, it's something in place. And if it doesn't pass, who knows where that money's going to go? We need to continue to see our roads continue to get fixed. Thank you.
Anybody else with a comment? We heard the director earlier stating the impact of Measure C on this transportation facility that's really put Selma on the map transportationally in California and really the whole country. $10 million has gone into that. So really, really important to have that funding and to continue it.
You know, I usually say Measure C is not really a tax. It's a revenue structure plan. Basically, that's what it is. In the past, it was created as a revenue structure plan. And it's been very effective. You could tell the outcome of it, you know, like Golden State, 180, 41. Yeah, I mean, all these designs, all these improvements in the valley, and also to the casinos, believe it or not, on 41 to the casino. Yeah, both ways too. But it's well needed. It's a revenue structure plan that's in play. We should support it at 100% and educate our constituents and people out there from different communities. Hey, how important it is when you come to not just our community, other communities around us, how it's important, how it comes to play.
Thank you. Thank you, the consultant, DK and Associates, and Kendall Flint for zooming in tonight with her knowledge, and for Director Robert Phipps from Fresno COG as well.
Thank you.
See you next Thursday. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to our consent calendar tonight. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does council have any items they would like removed from the consent calendar tonight?
How about 2-1?
Anybody else with? Three, the check register. Okay. Is there a motion to approve items 2-2 and 2-4?
So moved.
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Councilman Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sarah Guerra,
Yes.
Councilman Avalos,
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, item 2-1.
I just had a question because I was looking at it and there's some positions that are kind of like, I don't know. I just want a clarification. Like there's a city clerk and then the city clerk public information officer, and they're both listed on there. What's the reason for that?
So both of them are listed on there because they are positions that the city has approved in the past and they have job descriptions on. However, they are not ones that the City clerk PIO is not one that is in the adopted budget. So it hasn't been just deleted.
What about the deputy city manager and the community development director? Isn't that same person hold the two positions?
So the deputy city manager is over community development. The community development director is a position that is vacant. Again, it is one to where we have a job description and it's on the master salary schedule. However, it is not a position that's allocated within the budget.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Really. So you're saying that there are going to be some mismatches between the master salary schedule and the actual budgeted positions for the next budget years, correct?
Correct. There are some positions that are on the master salary schedule that we do not have within the position allocation of the budget.
Do we need those positions?
I don't necessarily believe so. However, I didn't feel it was right for me to just get rid of them. I do feel that if it was in the budget, let's say 3 years ago, then we could show, because I believe the budget shows a past 3 years. And so if it was in it 3 years, then we could go back and say, okay, it was there. Next year, they may be eliminated because then I could show that it wasn't in the budget the past 3 years.
So 3 years is the magic number. If it's not used for 3 years, then it gets eliminated.
Correct. Typically, that is the number for the budget the number for the position allocation. the
You
master
eliminate
salary
it, or
schedule.
does it come to the council to just eliminate these positions? How does that happen?
That usually usually just drop off. However, it is one that I can always provide a staff report and we can, at the next master salary schedule update, we can eliminate those and have it done by resolution. It's really up to the council.
Because I share the confusion with the council member that it makes it look like this is budgeted when you see all these positions that we don't really even have anymore. They're not being funded or filled. Okay. Anybody else with a question? Anybody from the public with a question about the salary schedule? Anybody online or on the phone? All right, thank you. Okay, is there a motion to approve item 2.1?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, item 2.3.
Oh, okay. Item 2.3. I pulled the 87071. It's a leasing, I guess, PD. Is that the question I'm asking is 31,066.92 cents. Is it just one vehicle? Is that a standard lease or?
It's I think it's a 5-year lease. That's an annual lease payment for the in-car MDTs.
So that's an annual lease payment?
Yes.
One patrol car?
No, it's there's 27 MDTs that were purchased in one lump sum. And that's the lease payment on those for 5 years to pay them off.
Oh, okay, so it's. Okay, all right. All right.
Okay, anybody else with an item? How about item 86981? That would be Caltrans Public Works Signals and Lighting, January, March 2025. Do we have anybody in? I don't think we have the director here yet. Okay. I'll hold that for him when he's here. Anybody from the public with a question on the check register tonight? Anybody on the phone or online with a question about the check register?
Yes, Mayor, hold on.
I had one on Cal card. Right?
Caller, you're allowed to talk.
This is Director On. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so that is a regular payment to Caltrans for the signals at Floral that are controlled by Caltrans, those intersections. So that is a regular payment that's made from the city to Caltrans.
How do they determine that amount, Director?
I can't answer that with any good information. I would have to look into that and see what the determination is on that to give you that information correctly.
Is that just are those the only lights that Caltrans bills the city for?
I believe the one at Thompson also, or I'm sorry, Nebraska, no, it's Thompson and 43. I believe that is also one of them.
So as a rule of thumb, any light near like a highway?
Yes, that is
99 or
correct. Any of
43.
the intersections, yes, any of the intersections that are controlled and right of way by Caltrans.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to approve item 2? Oh, CalCard, sorry.
I have a CalCard, and I spoke to, Finance Director Moreno. There's an item under Fernando Santillan, 3/28/2025, Southwest, that was from the flight to Vegas for the conference he did not attend, and, can you explain what?
It appears, council member, that item was too late to get a refund for that, so they charged us for that amount for $193.
And what about the registration for the conference? That was like over $1,000.
That one we did get credited for that for future use,
For
future.
next year?
Mhm.
Okay,
So we do have a credit on that.
all right, thank you.
I think there was someone else who was supposed to go on the conference flight as well, the former economic director. Did we get that? Was that refunded, or will we be seeing that on a future check register? Do you know?
Not sure about that one, but I can look into it if you like.
Thank you. Anything else, council member?
That's it.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve item 2.3?
I make a motion.
For a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Okay, yes. And we will take a 5-minute break now, city manager. Okay, we will move on now to departmental reports with city manager first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Putting you on your toes tonight.
Yeah, well, you gotta keep me awake. The item that the gentleman spoke of about the alley pickup, I will be giving council a memo. I spoke to Mid-Valley yesterday, and they're able to do that, but there's some concerns because there are a few houses, especially on Jackson, that don't have alley access. And so one of the things that they can't do is pick up in the street and then also pick up in the alley. So I'll be sending you a memo on that, and we can kind of work that through. But they're open to it. They're ready to do it, but they just want to make sure that the residents understand that it's not going to be a two-way thing. It's either in the alley or it's in the street. So I'll give you a memo on that.
I recall the gentleman had a petition signed by most, if not all, of the folks on Jackson, including presumably those who had problems accessing the alley or can't access it from the back of the house. So is that an issue? Has the city spoken, or do we have any direct knowledge of those folks that don't have direct alley access?
Probably what we'll do, and according to Isaac, who I spoke to at Mid-Valley, they will go through a noticing period so that the people will know, and they'll have an opportunity to voice some concerns then. But again, he said it looked like 5 to 7 homes that he saw that didn't have direct alley access. So, but again, they're not saying they're not going to do it, but they just want us to be fully aware that it can't be both ways.
Got it. Thank you. City Attorney?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Administrative Services Director.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. As a reminder, we do have the Ethics and Brown Act training, which is scheduled for Wednesday, June 25th from 9 to 12 p.m. here at City Hall. This is for all council members, planning commissioners, department heads, and any others that may benefit. Also, other surrounding cities have been invited to attend this as well. As far as recruitments, we do have 4 continuous recruitments that are live. That's our EMT per diem, our paramedic per diem, a non-safety paramedic, and the police officer, both entry and lateral. Again, these are continuous and they can close at any time. We do have several recruitments that have closed. The custodian has closed, and we actually have a potential start date. We have an offer letter out, and so we will have a start date coming up. The firefighter, we are entering the department head interview phase of that. The office assistant, we are entering the panel interview phase. The safety dispatcher, which is a part-time position. we are in the background phase. And the Community Services Director recruitment, we are in the application review phase. We do have an upcoming recruitment, and that is the city manager. That's all. Thank you.
Moving it back to the city attorney, is there wording that we have for an ad for the city manager position to be placed in the appropriate publications to get that moving?
We don't have it presently, but we can get it very quickly. Depending on where you want to advertise, and I would suggest Western States Magazine, number one. Number two, I think, that
ICMA?
they don't actually put out advertisements. They put like at a Craigslist kind of thing. You know, they just list the cities that are advertising. Those are the two publications, you know, the city managers, the people that are actually currently city managers, people that are actually currently in jobs where they want to step up to that position. Those are the advertisements they look at. And I think those are the people you want to target. You're looking primarily for an existing city manager or somebody with equivalent experience that wants to step up in life. From, say, I don't know, I'll just use your nearest neighbor, Parlier or Fowler or Kingsburg, step up to the city of Selma. And I think that's probably the best way to go about making that advertisement.
Got it. So what's the timeline for getting the ad? Because I know we're going to work with our HR department on this. We're doing this in-house without at this point, a recruiter. So what's our timeline in terms of getting that wording out and getting an advertising going so we can start getting perspective?
I can provide her with some
Candidates.
examples.
So we do have some example. We've actually started the process itself. We've already identified where we're going to recruit, which Western Cities is one, League of California Cities is another. We have other cities that I've reached out to that have had recent city manager recruitments that they've done in-house, and they've been providing additional areas to recruit. So we do have a template that we're working on. However, we do have to incorporate that within our current recruitments as well. So we are calendaring it. The biggest thing that we needed, though, was the job description, which has been approved tonight, and the salary range, again, which has been approved tonight. So once we have that, I do plan on providing the interim city manager the draft of the recruitment flyer for approval, and then we'll be able to provide. We do anticipate to apply it for or recruit for it for at least a 30-day period. We can go 45 days. 30 days is a standard, but we can go longer. But I will provide the time frame directly to the interim city manager for approval.
Okay, and then you'll provide it to us, right? Interim city manager, because we are the ones that make this hire.
Yeah, before the ad goes out,
Council
we'll make
does.
it available to council.
Cool. And then how much does it cost to advertise for 30 days in one of these publications?
It varies. So we have not had one this year in either of those publications, but one of them that is similar to that, I believe the publication was I want to say it was about $300 for a 30-day time period. So if we're looking at both, it could potentially be about $600. Again, we won't know until we actually post it.
Okay, we want to see that wording. Definitely want to see all that. Thank you. Okay, city clerk.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance Director Moreno.
Mayor, nothing to report.
Well, you're up next, so you got a lot to report. Fire Chief Webster.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A couple of things this evening. Number one, in last week's tidbits, I mentioned the retirement of Captain Deborah Rowe, and I just wanted to take a moment to recognize her retirement and congratulate her in making it to the next step. She served our community since 2003, and it's pretty exciting to get to that point in her career. So just wanted to say thank you to her for all of her service to our community, and and good luck in her future endeavors. Next council meeting, I will not be here, which is July 1st, I believe. I'll be on vacation. I'll be in Colorado for my daughter's softball tournament, which will be pretty fun.
Good luck on it.
Griffin Structures will be on the agenda for July 15th. I wanted to be here when they come to present, just to kind of help that process along. Last week, one of our engine companies responded out to the west side of Fresno County for the Firestone incident, which was just west of Coalinga. They spent the night there doing structure defense, and then they were assigned to a heli base where they stand by and ensure that the helicopters coming in and out, loading up with retardant, are safe, and they've since returned since that fire is now contained. And the last thing, just thank you to council for your support to the fire department. My staff certainly appreciates it, and we look forward to the adoption of the upcoming budget. And lastly, thank you, Mr. Kunkel, for your leadership. It's been good having you. End of report.
Thank you, Chief Webster. Police Commander Cannon.
I have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Public Works Director online. Do you have a report for us? Or are we going to do his, we're going to wait till his agenda item? You want to wait till that? Okay. Director, do you want to talk now, or do you want to wait till your agenda item on the lights?
Yeah, I'd like to give my department update now, if I
Right.
could.
Go for it.
Okay, so to begin with, Schaefer Park lights, as council knows, a couple of you, Mr. Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem Gare, have been invited. Tomorrow we will be walking Schaefer Park with Bob Crookham from Musco. We received the design last week, which I published to the council. And we received a quote from them for 2 different lighting options yesterday, which I've also published to the council and our interim city manager, Mr. Kunkel. So tomorrow I will be there present for that meeting at 10 o'clock at Schaefer Park. Downtown lights, Mr. Mayor, you and I have emailed back and forth. We saw what the bid result was for that. We unfortunately only got one bid from a contractor on that project. There was some questions asked yesterday, what could have caused that? I think there's a lot of factors here. As I stated yesterday in my email, Mr. Mayor, when our city engineer returns from vacation, I will revisit that project with him. And we will be looking at value engineering options to whittle down the price and kind of see what our options are to get that back out for a rebid. Next item I have, the Salazar Center. The stoves are working over there. When we put in the new stove, unfortunately, the hood over there had not been working for quite some time. And once we got Jorgensen, our maintenance contractor, over there to look at it, we realized that the motor for the stove's hood was no longer functioning. So that motor has been ordered, should be in before the end of the week. Johan, who is my maintenance lead kind of guy right now, is going to be putting that in hopefully by the end of the week. And then that stove should be fully functional for Ruby, Boys and Girls Club, and the Salazar Center. So that's exciting. We do have some fire suppression for that hood that's going to have to be modified a little bit because of the configuration of the new stovetop. But Jorgensen is also working up a price for us for that so that we can get that work done. The next thing that I have is I'm getting some requests, and this is kind of directed towards city council and also to city attorney. I'm getting requests for this graffiti abatement letter that we have changed ordinance to allow city staff to be able to enter property to abate on private property. I'm getting some requests. PD, code enforcement, is also getting calls, and they're getting requests for people to please come and help them abate. So I'm kind of looking for a status update as to that. That can be a sidebar conversation, or we can address it through an email.
It'll be on your email tomorrow morning.
Perfect. I appreciate it, sir. And that's all I've got for now. Thank you.
Great. We'll talk to you a little bit later then.
Thank you.
Now we'll take a 5-minute break. Nope, we're back. Community Services Director.
They're the twins. The twins.
There's two of us, so
Sorry
we'll
about
take
that.
turns. We'll make it quick. So, this Friday is gonna be our last movie in the park for the summer before it gets too warm out there. So we will be playing Ratatouille at about 8:15 out at Lincoln Park. And then the following Friday, we'll wrap up our summer series. We partnered with the Downtown Bid, so we'll have a block party. The Art Center will be providing, a beer garden. We'll have live music from Marie Wilson Band, and we will have some inflatables for the kids along with some yard games as well. And then I'm happy to report that we did open the pool this past weekend. And so we did get some attendees both Saturday and Sunday. We were out there. And then today, the rest of our lifeguards were certified. They spent the last 2 days in the pool, treading lots of water and swimming lots of laps and saving all the little jimmies in the world. So I'm so proud of them. I'm happy to report that even our my colleague Matthew did get certified as well, and so that was a really big accomplishment for him. He worked really hard out there, and I'm just so proud of them all. And so we'll have 6 guards on staff for this summer, with 4 of them being present at the pool at each day. And then the last thing that I wanted to report on is we will be hosting our Recreation Commission meeting tomorrow, our regular scheduled meeting, and we will be discussing the final draft of the Parks Master Plan. And so that should be coming up to City Council for approval and adoption within the next, I believe the goal was July 1st, if not the following meeting. So you guys will be seeing that very soon. And so the Recreation Commission will be reviewing that first tomorrow night. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you.
Okay, just a couple of updates from me. We closed Seussical successfully with a really great turnout. We have registrations are still open for Finding Nemo Junior. We start next week with our placement auditions. We have about 58 kids right now, and that'll just climb higher coming up to next week. That is for ages 7 to 17 through the summer. We also just started our SAC teen Hadestown. The rehearsals are starting for that. We have about 36 kids. It was a really great turnout. A lot of CKP kids have moved up to our SAC teen, which is really great. A lot of locals, a lot of our high school kids who are in their drama department have also moved over to come and try out our program. So we're really excited to have them. We have SAC teen going to see Anne Juliet in San Francisco on July 5th. And that was our SAC teens from our Beetlejuice last year. And we have a Rent opening up July 11th through August 2nd in the theater. And then lastly, we did apply for 2 grants at the beginning of this month with the help of our grants manager right now, our remote grants manager from the California Arts Council for one, our youth program, and another for our general operations grant. So those we hope to find out if we've received around fall, and they would be distributed in January of 2026.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question for
Board.
the Art Center. Councilman Avalos and I, we were talking about some of the repairs need to be done. We would like to schedule with you a visit.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
we can look at, because I know it needs some repairs, needs help. So we want to go out there and see it firsthand. I mean, I don't know if anybody else can go or should go, but we want to go out there and look at so you can show us physically what's lacking and we can go from there.
Absolutely. I'll make my schedule.
Thank you.
That brings up an issue for the city attorney. Can we invite the other council members for the Musco lighting tour tomorrow? It's going to be in the big park. As long as we don't have a discussion or have a city council meeting.
You don't discuss city business among yourselves when there's 3 of you or more of you present, you're fine.
So why don't, we can invite all the council members tomorrow to Schaefer Park at 10 a.m. to look at the Musco lighting, since that's.
Could we
gonna be
just get
big line item.
could we just get, my personal request would be if you could just come back and give me a report. And then.
Yeah, whoever doesn't
you know,
want to,
whoever-
whoever it doesn't
Not
show
that I won't
tomorrow,
be-
we'll
I
get a
won't be here,
report.
so-
But if you want to show tomorrow, I think you're not enjoined from doing that. You can do it. As long as we don't have a city meeting.
Talk about, how you gonna get it done and.
Got it.
Who's gonna do it and.
Same thing with the art center. I think as long as we keep our distance and don't discuss city business, we should be okay. Thank you.
If I could get I'm requesting it, I won't be here for about a week or week and a half, so if I could get council to come back and give, or explain to us what you've seen, and then we'll find time when we can go out there and see the art center and the lights if possible. Please.
Report back at the next council meeting. Okay, we'll go out there, can report our findings. If everybody's noticed, we kind of changed things around just a little bit on the agenda. Now we had departmental reports at the beginning of the meeting, but we should have put them after the consent calendar. So now they're after the consent calendar. So we'll take a 5-minute break now. So when everybody here, if you have any city business with people that you don't normally see, talk to them now. And after that, whoever doesn't have a report and wants to go home can just go home to their families. Thank you. 5 minutes.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, everybody's so serious. Like they don't know me already.
You may not have to leave, John.
That's, I think we're gonna be out of here.
Think so, public hearing is gonna be a lot.
Or if you want to share with all the council people, you. All right, that'll work. I'll talk to Jim.
It's always about money. Somebody's got to make money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, somebody's always got to get all that.
Acting chief over there?
That's how you did it. Keep her that way. I just. What do you need that wrong number? When the first time you came to the meeting, yeah, we're gonna get out early, here's our Mr. McCall. They were used to it. I don't think he is. No, Sarah, we need to invest on a little fridge so we can get our sodas cold. Maybe we can get out of our council budget. Don't mind it. We're worth it, right? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right, absolutely. We invited Scott today, but he said he didn't have a car. He said Rose took the car. And Neil picked me up at my house. Yeah, we're all good. We're all good with each other.
Right, back to it. We are back in session and we will start with our first and only public hearing of the evening. This is consideration of resolution 2025-45R, adopting the 2025-2026 City of Selma fiscal year budget in consideration of a resolution 2025-46R, adopting the city's annual appropriations limit for fiscal year 2025-2026 pursuant to Article 13B of the California Constitution. Finance Director Moreno.
Thank you, Mayor Robert. And members of the council. The item before you is for council to approve resolution 2025-45R, adopting the fiscal year 25-26 budget, and resolution 2025-46R, establishing the appropriation limit for fiscal year 25-26. So as you recall, we had a special meeting that was held on May 28th, and that's where we went through the whole budget. And on that budget, City Council did request a couple items to be added to our budget, which was some funding for the senior center activities, as well as the recreation special events, and additional funding for the business improvement district contributions. So for tonight, the final budget for 25-26 is submitted for council's consideration. The total budget of all funds remains at 62.8 million. Of that, the general fund is at 20.5 million. With the revised changes requested by council on May 28th, we are anticipating a fund deficit of 61,367 with the revision requested by council. We'll be using city reserves to balance the budget. Going on to special revenue funds, the total for special revenue is at 20.6 million. Of that, we did do some revisions on the revenues. We finally got an email from TDA to get our actual revenues for the budget. So we just estimated revenues for Article 3 and Article 8, as well as capital projects currently at 2.1 million. And then going on to the enterprise funds is right now currently at 10.7 million. We did add additional funding for the business improvement district, as well as some operating expenses for the Pioneer Village. Going on to debt service, it's at 1.8 million. And on that, we did also do some revisions on the RDA. We got the revenues for estimate revenues on that. So there was no change on the budget. We just recorded the revenues. And on internal service funds, currently at 6.8 million. Other items discussed at our May 28th meeting was, during the special meeting was
funding for the Schaefer Park lighting as well as the High Street lighting. So until we get actual numbers for that, we'll revisit this to see if we can incorporate that in the budget, whether we'll go into reserves to pay for these fundings. And I guess there'll be a discussion later on that. Then again, lastly is the appropriation limit of 25-26 is at right now 14.4 million. And also added on your budget, you'll notice there is a glossary at the end of the budget book, which was incorporated later, and it provides all the definitions you need on page 187 going forward. And once the budget gets adopted, the city council will be receiving a bounded binded copy. So once it gets adopted, we'll get that to you all. And that concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, and thank you for all your tireless work on this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Does council have any questions before we start jumping into this?
Yeah, Finance Director Moreno, just wanted to confirm, I know we talked about it in our last meeting in regards to the reserve amount. I think you mentioned we have 15%, and we talked about increasing that.
Yes, that's something we
Yes.
can bring back later. Right now, we currently have 20% reserves, 15 which is regular reserve, and 5% is catastrophic. So it's just putting monies aside to show that we can have 6 months or 3 months worth of expenditures in case we do have a catastrophic emergency for the city.
And then how much would that 20% represent? How many months of payroll would that represent?
So it's not payroll, it's expenditures.
Or
of-
expenditures, including
3
payroll?
months. Yeah, 3 months worth.
So that's 3 months. And I think you mentioned that most cities are about around the 2 to 3 month area. And I know school boards, they even have less reserves. But given the uncertainty of the economy, what is your opinion in terms of having a little bit more allocated towards reserves in the general fund?
We could do that. Other cities average between 20% to 35%, depending on the size of the population. I can revisit that and bring it back to you all for a different amount if you like. But
Right.
based on our reserves, I can't remember when it was adopted, but our reserve just indicate 20% currently.
Okay. So we had a surplus when we met in May on this, on our workshop of $133.
That is correct.
Now we have a deficit of 60,000. What is what's the driver for that deficit at this time?
Yes, sir. It's total of 61,500, which incorporates 10,000 to the senior center for additional activities. It also incorporates 1,500 for the Selma Live, additional funding for the recreation, and then additional 50,000 for the business improvement district, which is transferred out of the general fund into that special district fund, which is the business improvement district. So the net of that is 61,367.
Okay. And so we are looking at the budget at this time, looking at a couple of the items, I was thinking we could make some changes on this and bring this budget back if we need to. But one of those items would be the grant management from page 119. Like to submit this to council for discussion to remove that position and because grants are few and far between, and to put this out to independent contractors for grant writers who would charge the city if a fee to look at the grants, but only the majority of the fee if they actually land the grants. I know some of them are out there. City used to have Townsend and Associates. City released them a few years ago. I know there's another grant writer out there that's looking to do a presentation to the city. That would take $30,761 of expense out of the budget, getting closer there to our break even. Economic development, that position again, 2526. I'm not saying to eliminate that, but it looks like that position has been budgeted for $104,957. And we could pause that for the year. I'm just submitting this to the council for your consideration. And page 140, animal services. Again, that is $720,000 in budget this year. almost 200,000 more than last year. I would say we should put that back to 2024 numbers. I'm not quite sure why the dramatic increase in that, but I think that would save a pretty good boatload of money right there. So let's look at reallocating that. And I think the animal services director is still in there. Maybe I'm confusing that with the master salary schedule, but the animal services director is budgeted at step E for like 130,000 bucks a year or something. I know we've talked about this several times, eliminating that and just putting an animal services manager in there. Had a meeting with Councilman Oseguera with the police chief, and we talked about really the need is for someone at that shelter to kind of be skillful with the bookkeeping part, you know, the database, the pet point, and kind of the business aspect, which is more of an on-site manager, and then a facilities manager who really works on the animal control part, the actual animal part. The animal services director is redundant because it's part of the PD, which has its own director, which is known as the PD chief. So, and even if that changes out to public works or community services, there'll be a director there too. So I would submit to the council to eliminate once and for all that animal services director position and to take 130,000 out of that current budget of 720,000 for the year. Oh, and finally, I looked at the human resources budget. That cost on the payroll went from 370,000 to 626,079 this year. We're all aware of how hard our HR department works and the need for more assistance, but $256,000 in additional city funds for that could be seen by some as excessive. So maybe we could go back and sharpen our pencil on that and get that down.
Can you confirm what page is that on, Mayor?
Page 115. If you look at adopted budget, the personnel total was 370,000 last year. It's 626,000 this year. So again, I submit that we could take a look at that number as well. So to my council colleagues, before we open it up to the public, and this is a public hearing, perhaps think about tabling this so we can get some more answers on this for our next meeting. And with that, this is a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing to the public. Does anyone have any comments?
Yes, Mayor. So we are, the budget has to be adopted by 6:30. So
Okay.
just want to let you know that that's pretty common that all cities adopt the budget for 6:30. So we would have to bring this back as a special meeting to have that done,
Okay.
to make these changes. That's why we had a special meeting on May 28th to kind of go over the budget. Was hoping that what we present today was a proposed budget will be adopted as is. But if the changes are going to be made, we have to bring it back to present another adopted budget for you all.
We don't
So it
mean
would
to
be a
inconvenience
special
you,
meeting?
but these are some material issues here. And when we go from a surplus to a deficit, you
I
kind of
understand,
catch our
but
attention.
can
And
we-
it's not you, but it's just the numbers here that are speaking to us and telling us that, you know, we have to do our job as fiduciaries for the city and do our review. So with that, this is a public hearing. We need to open this up to the public. Does anybody have a comment at this time? Come on up.
We're all asking back here, where can we apply for some of these positions? I mean, yeah, we really need to look at these numbers, we need to look at these positions, and we need to cut back. Some of these are even doubled. It doesn't make any sense. You know, I understand we have a budget, but we also need to look at things strategically and eliminate positions if they're not filled and they haven't been filled in a while. And my question is, why are these numbers doubled and tripled? I mean, where do we get this numbers from? That's my question. Like, how do we go from, like you said, 300 some to 600? Like, where does the calculation come from? That's my, I don't understand that.
I think there was a salary study done a couple of years ago, and I think the council at that time wanted to have the salaries at the 60th percent, top 60%. So
we
that
have new
resulted in
council
in an increase.
Yeah, we have a new council and we need to be a little bit more.
That's why we're looking at the
Yeah,
budget
we
this
need to
year.
be a little more smarter with our money. I mean, I think we're headed in the right direction with a lot of stuff that has happened. And we're really happy about that, but these numbers really need to be analyzed and looked over, and we need to come back with some better numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa Sala, 1701 Dynevor Avenue. I'm looking at the personnel stuff that you were talking about. I can see a big increase in salaries, but I see a huge increase in health benefits expense. And that was when we went to being self-insured. So that's where the big portion is coming from. I did human resources. So I started looking at that and I was like, wait a minute. And of course, which means with the increase in salaries, your PERS contributions went up, FICA went up, all those things went up. Because the salaries itself went up by about 150,000. And that was based on the salary surveys that you had done. But once the salary went up, everything shot up. And then being self-insured, we went from 50,000 for health benefit expenses to 115,000. So but I understand, but you can't go back and take people's raises away. So, but I understand where we're trying to cut back. But my question is, how much is actually coming out of reserves to balance the budget? Did you say we were taking money out of reserves to balance the budget? How much? 61,000. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And just to build on that, the speaker was not a fan of going to a self-insured plan and the moving from CalPERS. And if you look at the PERS employer costs, they've actually gone from 156 to 41,000. So they've gone down, but the health benefits expense is, she's correct. It's gone from 50,000 to 115,000. So almost, that's a little more than double in a year. And so no one's talking about taking anyone's raises. We're talking about a difference between 370,000, the raises were given last year, and 626,000 this year. So that is a huge increase. That's more than just raises. So that's addition of employees. So what I think we're asking at the council is, what gives? Why? What are we doing here? We're not saying it's bad. We're not saying it's good. It's like, what are we doing here? Why did we go from a surplus to a deficit? And I think we owe it to our constituents to get answers to that before we move forward. And then we're still in public hearing and we still have members of the public that would like to speak. And then we'll bring it back to staff. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I just want to say thank you to this new council for really looking into the budget. We really appreciate it as our taxpayer money is being spent in all areas. And I get, what former council did before was they really didn't look at things like they should have. And I remember that day very clearly on the health care decision for the city of Selma. We had this entire place packed and they were begging and crying to not change it over, but they did it anyways. So again, thank you for you guys looking at our where our taxpayers' money is going and being conservative with it and getting the right jobs and the right positions in to help our city and make it better. And if you guys have to eliminate some of the additional positions or do what you got to do to make it better, and I think it'll all work out. We have a great council. Thank you.
Anybody online or on the phone with a comment?
No hands raised at this time.
Thank you, sir. That will bring it back. Okay. No, I don't.
Alex Ramirez, Selma, California. I agree with Mrs. Robertson. It's a lot of money for salaries. And I think that as council, you should look into it and see, just study it, see where we can cut back. like she said, on positions, overtime, maybe that will help, just anything to bring that down, because that's a lot. That is a lot. And also the shelter that was mentioned is also, that's a lot of money too. So, yeah, if you could just please look into that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could please, you mentioned bringing this back at a special meeting, and that's fine, but we will have to do that in a certain way. In order to adopt a budget, you must have a public hearing notice publicated in a newspaper. So what we would have to do, and that has to be within 10 days of the meeting. We don't have 10 days
We can
before the 6:30.
continue-
So what we can do is we can
this public
continue.
hearing
Yes.
To the next day.
That would be our only option is
Wouldn't
to
actually,
continue.
okay, so we would just continue this, not table it. Got it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Perfect. Anybody else with a comment? We'll close the public hearing, bring the matter back to council. All right, Director Moreno, did you have any comments before we bring it back to the council?
Yes, I just wanted, Mayor, I
continue
just
the-
wanted to confirm the changes that you're proposing. Just to clarify, on the, we'll be removing the 30,000 for the grants management, which is a part-time position. So we'll eliminate all the funding for that. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and then also for the Animal Services Division, would you wanted to remove the director position?
correct.
Okay. Was that all of them, Mayor, that I
And
could
we want to
see?
know, we want some clarification in regards to what the increase is from the 370,
Oh, for the HR, I mean, for.
right, to,
Okay, so, as mentioned from our prior, citizens, yeah, that is correct. We did have increases in the health insurance, and that was, through all the departments as well. And because the two additional office assistants did, bring the salaries up, but that is the change, most of the changes there in the, HR division.
So the $256,000 increase is due to two additional office assistants being hired for your department. Is that correct, Ms. Venegas?
So the salary itself, there was a differential of 160,000 on the salary alone. The rest is the increases in the benefits associated with all the positions, which includes the retirement itself. And just to clarify on the medical benefits, had we stayed with CalPERS within the past 2 years, it would have gone up by 21.56%. So it would have increased as well. And the benefits that we are currently paying are actually less than what we would have been paying had we stayed with PERS.
Good.
Providing that for clarification.
Got it. But the point is, your department added 2 people, correct?
That is
Thank you.
the increase, correct?
Okay. All right, and then economic development, we're going to pause the hiring for that position for the next 12 months. And then I would call for council comments and then call for a motion to continue this matter.
Since we're on that line of being transparent and everything operation, I'm also looking at our engineering department. Okay.
Okay.
Where we're at on this is project and what areas that we need to scale back to create the balance in the budget more efficient. The expenditures are, enormous on the engineering department. Been over quite some time. So I wanted to look at those items as well, where we're at. And also look at the probably some departments that possibly start maybe doing some hiring, maybe might develop, a freeze right now, stabilizing a freeze until we actually look at the numbers truly as far as the deficit, those issues. And also, I'm looking at also departments, maybe possibly, maybe combining some departments and not make it in one area, made one department under one rule on management. So I'm looking at all those avenues as far as being more efficient. So that's, at this moment, that's all I gotta say right now.
Thank you. Council member, anyone else with a comment? I believe there's an RFQ going out for a city engineer in August or September. And I know we met with Councilman Avalos and with the city manager with a interested party who may be applying for a position in the future with the city. So we'll see. Hopefully that person will apply when the RFQ is sent out. Okay, is there a motion to continue this item until the
You need to
6th?
set the date specifically, date and time.
And it has to be by or before June 30th, is that correct?
Would it be enough time? Would it be enough time?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's choose.
Yes, we need to choose a date for next week. Do you have a certain date in mind?
It's the,
No, you got till
yeah, it's the 17th.
So
So
you
we have 2 weeks, correct?
Yeah,
The 30th is a Monday.
Okay.
So yeah, you only have next week.
We have the rest of this week, and then we have next week. Okay, so would council want to meet at the end of this week, or would you want to meet next week? How about a week from today, the 24th? Good with that?
Let me make sure that the chamber's available.
Okay.
The 24th is available after 5.
Perfect. Everybody good with the afternoon meeting, a 5 o'clock meeting that day?
I'm good.
Okay, 5 o'clock. Then let's continue the meeting continue this item until the 24th at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director Moreno. Appreciate it. Thanks for all your work. Okay, with that, we'll move on to our next item, which
Need a
is,
vote to actually
sorry,
continue it to that day.
is there a motion to continue this item?
I'll make a motion to continue.
Is there a second?
second.
Call the roll, please. That always helps.
Councilman Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, thank you. Next item, regular agenda, action item, consideration of commission board applications and subsequent appointments.
Thank you. What you have before you are the commission applications. We will be reviewing tonight the planning commissioners as well as the Downtown Business Improvement District Board. Unfortunately, we are unable to review the Recreation and Community Services as well as the Pioneer Village Commission. That has been rescheduled and the appointments will be postponed until July 1st at the regular city council meeting. That is due to an extended recruitment period. So the Planning Commission, they serve a 4-year term. We have 5 applicants and 2 vacancies. The Downtown Business Improvement District, we have 1 applicant and 1 vacancy. My request is that you review the applications and appoint the commissioners tonight.
Great, thank you, City Clerk. Take the easy one first. The Business Improvement District, we have 1 application and one applicant and 1 vacancy. Pretty easy. Everybody good with reappointing Ramza Curry?
That's no
Yes.
problem there.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve Ramza Curry for reappointment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo, Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, next item is Planning Commission. And I will call for anybody who would like to make a comment or a pitch, who wants to be considered for planning commission tonight who's here or who's online?
Hi, Teresa Salas again. I've been on the planning commission for one term now. I have really enjoyed being on the commission, and I feel like I have contributed to our community by doing that. I know that I'm a familiar face because I've been at the city council meetings for years now, and I really feel like it shows my commitment to the community that I take the time to come to the, not just the planning commission meetings, but to the council meetings. It gives me an insight as far as what the council would like to see happening in our community. I just feel like I would like to continue serving my community in this fashion. I like being involved, not just in that way, but I'm in the Chamber of Commerce. I was in a service club until they closed. So I try to give I've been retired for 18 years. And so this is where I have felt like I really wanted to be part of my community by continuing to volunteer my time where I can.
Thank you for your service. Anybody else with a comment at this time?
Hello. I believe you have my application there, but I totally forgot that it was changed that we can only serve on one commission. So if you have my application, I'd like to withdraw it. I'd like to stay on Parks and Recreation Commission,
Okay,
if that's
Thank
the
you.
case. But I believe we can only serve on one commission now, right?
I think we're going to discuss that
Okay,
informal rule tonight.
okay.
So have
Well, let me know.
a seat. Thank
okay,
you.
Thank you.
I'll let you know. Anybody online or on the phone with a comment about this?
I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. That will bring the matter back to council. Before we vote, did council want to address the one person, one commission informal rule that we had and talk about potentially changing that and opening that up for the future? Did any council members have a comment on that at this time? You want to keep that going or you want to change it?
Well, I mean, I propose, I wanted everybody to, in our community, if we have a lot of applicants, I would say, hey, you know what? We could keep it as one. But if we have a few, we might have to change the rules as we go, unfortunately. And I don't know, and I think maybe if we have a lot of applicants right now, I would say, hey, let's keep it status quo. If we don't, let's maybe change it to two people can only serve on one or the other. I mean, on one commission to another commission, Got to make it fair if we don't have the applicants.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So you can serve on two commissions then?
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Oseguera, what's your input?
Well, from what I remember, the talk was when we were opening up the ad hoc committee for the animal shelter. And that was discussed by Councilman Avalos, because if you were going to serve on the animal shelter ad hoc committee, you could not serve on any other commission. That was the extent of the discussion that we had. Now, as far as limiting people from only being in one commission, I don't think that's the way to go, because sure, we have 5 now, but I was a commissioner for Parks and Rec for 21 years plus. And I tell you what, there was a lot of time when we ran the commission with very few people. There was times that we had meetings because we didn't have enough people. We couldn't have a quorum, so, we need to, if people want to serve, let them. Because you know what, there's a lot of times that, announcements get put out and people don't put in. I mean, sure, a lot of people applied, but a lot of them they put in after the recruitment was due. So what does that tell you? If people want to do it like I did it for 21 plus years. The only reason I'm not there anymore, because I became a councilman. If it wasn't for that, I'd still be running that thing over there. So just that you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and limit yourself because you see there's 5 or whatever, but that's not all the time. And that's only because we're extending. Can you imagine if you hold to a deadline, there wouldn't be that many people because the deadline already passed. And then we decided to reopen it. so that's my input.
Thanks for your input. Anybody else with input?
Good.
I think, I agree with both. I mean, with Councilman Avalos, I see what you're saying. When there's not many people, you want to let as many people on as possible, but when something like the Planning Commission, that's in demand. A lot of people want to be on the Planning Commission. But you can't do it for both. You can't have rules for a couple of other commissions.
You gotta be fair.
Yeah, you gotta make
Gotta
it
be fair.
uniform across. So I'm
I
just
get it.
thinking at this point, I don't think that rule really applies anymore. I think that you can vote that way if that's the way you want to vote. But I don't know if that's a rule that is really applicable anymore with all these applicants, especially for the Planning Commission. I also wanted to bring up the I don't know if this is the time, but as Commissioner Torres brought up, merging the parks and community services with Pioneer Village, that's probably a good thing to do. And maybe we could bring that up at the next meeting, or we could request it as a future agenda item, because Pioneer Village didn't have a single meeting last year, just no action whatsoever. Why don't we just combine them and just have who's ever on Pioneer Village is part of Parks and Community Services now? What do you think?
It is part of it.
It kind of is now. There's similar members, overlapping members. Any members of the public with any comments about the 1-1 rule? You've already talked.
I think whatever you guys do, it works out, but just for my input and being around for a long 2 decades as well, just seeing sometimes too many people are on too many boards, so they don't give it their all. For example, you'll see 2 people from one of the boards and they're doing all the work. You'll see people that, that it's just the same people showing up. The other people have their name on the board, and that's basically all they like to see. So I think also another good thing, maybe just limit it to 1 or 2, whatever you guys limit it to see how it works. From what I'm understanding, we have to get the word out that these commissions are open as well. I don't think we do a good job at that, being out there. We need to really give that in other ways besides just the website or however we do it. I know that there's another generation coming on board, and I just love seeing that. I love seeing that we need to really open our arms and welcome the next generation, help our next generation, that they're stepping up. We got business owners who are young. They're stepping up. We have them on the bid. And they want to be part of other things, but we need to get the word out to them in many ways, other ways. And I guarantee you guys will get applications. I'll guarantee you that. The thing is, we just need to get it out there to the public, because I'm seeing more and more younger generations, the younger mom and dads that want to be involved. So hopefully we can get the word out, and you guys look at the absence as well on all the commissions. That's very important. You don't want people on there and then never show up, or they miss too many. That is also ridiculous. Thank you.
Good point. Councilman?
Yeah,
go ahead,
I'd like to add to the fact, I think that's a great idea about putting the recreation and the Pioneer Village together, but I'd like to think about maybe if it's possible to think about increasing the number of the board to 6 to 9, or just because of the fact that there's a lot of people that do join them, and they, just exactly what they said, they miss the meeting, so they can't have a quorum. And so I was just wondering if maybe the council would consider, if you do decide to join them both, increase the amount of board members so we can have an actual better dialogue of our community.
What if we just added
That's
the current members and made it, I think,
That's what I mean. Well,
yeah, maybe at the next council meeting, we can consider it a little more in terms of the math.
Yeah, instead of 6 or 5 members,
Like
we want to
9.
increase it to 9. Mhm.
We have
Yeah.
a big,
Well, commission, I think it's 7 for the
No,
community services.
7
and
currently.
the more people, well, you see, the more people you have on the board, I've been on board, serve on boards. The more people you have on boards, there, you have more dialogue and more, you get more feedback. And, I mean, and it's a good, perception because people, each one has a different opinion, but at the same time, you kind of move things forward because, okay, that's a good idea. So they move. But at the same time, I noticed that the Pioneer hasn't had a meeting in
Yeah,
a
the
year.
yeah.
In a year.
Yeah, they're just not.
So there is some issues there. I don't know if they have no quorum or whatever. I think maybe that's where the problem is at. So by combining them, you do have a quorum and you do move those things forward.
Community Services Commission is very proactive. You know, and she can tell you, we don't mess around. We didn't used to mess around in there. There was a night and we took care, brought it to council and got it taken care of. And that's what we need because, you know, Pioneer Village needs a lot of help. For example, the bathrooms, when you have 20,000 or 2,000 people, 2,500 there, and there's only 2 bathrooms, and then you get the nasty porta potties, I'm sorry, but that's not representing Selma, and how should we be represented? Because the number one complaint from people who use or rent Pioneer Village is the bathrooms. And we've been advocating in the public, Community Services Commission for years, and nobody has ever said, well, that's, you know, we would get told by the director, well, that's not my shop, that's their shop. And I'm like, why? Isn't it a park? Yeah. Another thing is, the only reason that we become stagnant with some of these commissions, and I'm gonna tell you why, because every commission needs to have a limit of how many times you miss. Community services is 3 times. You miss 3 and you're notified that, you know what, you don't come to the next meeting, you're done. That's how you get people to show up. Now everybody does what they want, they don't show up, and if they show up, they don't care. You know, we need to have standards like Mrs. Robertson said, you miss 3 meetings, guess what? There's other people in line that want to join. And we shouldn't be holding up everybody else because, you know, you want to show up when you want to. That's not the way it should be. When I ran it, that's not the way it was run. We give them notice and say, you know what, the next meeting will be, you're done 3. If you don't come next meeting, then you're done. And we kept it, you know, we kept the people revolving. You know, and if we have plenty of applications, we just appoint somebody. Hey, there's a vacancy because somebody is out. We just go to the applications and appoint somebody. Council has the power to do that, you know.
Right.
So-
Good plan. So let's bring it back at the next meeting. Okay, with that, we will bring up our planning commission voting tonight. I'll start with the 2 existing commissioners. I'll just bring their name up and we'll vote yes or no on whether or not to appoint them. First one is Commissioner Greg Garcia. Can you call the roll, please? And the answer will be yes or no as to vote for this commissioner.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, so Commissioner Garcia is reappointed. The current chair, Commissioner Salas. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Avalos,
Salas.
Oh, no.
Councilmember Oseguera,
No.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
No.
Mayor Robertson.
No. Moving on. Candidate Dennis Hall. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo, Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. And with that, Dennis Hall is appointed to the Planning Commission. There's no need to go through any more votes at this time. Thank you, everybody, for applying. Keep applying. There are always vacancies, and as you hear, we're trying to keep it as fair as possible and keep things moving. And with that, we're going to
Mayor, point of clarification for
Yes.
staff. For the combined Pioneer Village and Recreation Community Services, do we want 7 seats, 9 seats? How many do you want?
we were thinking that we would add all the existing members. They would have seats. I believe it's 3 on Pioneer Village. And how many on Parks
think it's
and
what, 9
Community Services?
Together,
Both. Okay,
9.
So whatever the.
There's 7. There's 7 in the
so
community.
7 and 3, so that's 10. If there's any overlapping, subtract that.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then
We
we'll
wanna
have that.
keep it an odd number though, so
Yeah.
Right.
we'll either make it 9 or 11 or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, now we'll move on to item 5.2, which is an action item. Consideration and resolution 2025-47R, approving job description and salary range for Economic Development Director, Public Information Officer.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight's item presents a staff recommendation for the adoption of the Economic Development Director, Public Information Officer position. This proposal, the result was, so sorry, I received I had a dentist appointment this morning. So sorry. This proposal is a result of close collaboration between the interim city manager, deputy city manager, and human resources, reflecting careful consideration of organizational structure, legal compliance, and fiscal responsibility. I want to begin by acknowledging the mayor's leadership and identifying a critical need: the enhancement of citywide communications, media relations, and public engagement. Staff fully agrees that these are priority areas. What we differ in is the implementation approach. Staff respectfully maintains that the originally proposed standalone communications director PIO position, especially with a dual supervision model, is not appropriate under the City of Selma's council manager form of government. That structure introduces potential for operational confusion, blurred authority lines, and direct conflict with the governance framework defined in the council manager governing statutes in state law and the municipal code. The recommended Economic Development Director, PIO role, fully addresses the communications goals initially outlined, while also optimizing the use of existing resources. This integrated position builds upon the responsibilities already held by the former Economic Development Manager, who led efforts in community outreach, branding, business engagement, and digital strategy. Rather than duplicating efforts, this model consolidates and elevates them under a streamlined, sustainable structure. From a fiscal perspective, this approach is significantly more prudent. Establishing a standalone communications director PIO would increase the projected general fund deficit to over $211,000. In contrast, the proposed hybrid position increases the deficit by approximately $30,000, a difference of nearly $120,000 annually. This is not just a staffing matter, it is a question of sound governance, operational efficiency, and responsible fiscal stewardship. For these reasons, staff strongly recommends adoption of Resolution 2025-47R to approve the Economic Development Director, PIO classification and salary range. This recommendation meets the city's communication and engagement goals while remaining consistent with our structure, budget, and long-term vision.
Thank you for your report. Okay, we'll ask for comment from the council. I can make a comment first, and that is, I've given the item, the public hearing item on the budget tonight. I think about 264,000 in savings has been identified, and so that will more than make up for the addition of the Public Information Officer Communications Director. I appreciate the efforts of the Administrative Services Director on this, but the arguments are just not there. Legally, we heard from the city attorney at the last meeting that there legally is no problem. There is no exposure to the city manager form of government with the council creating this position, which many cities have, such as Hanford, that has a public information officer, and they do very well and have done very well with it. Our city is in need of more transparency and more communications. I think we can get even better at that. And this position will help us to tell our story. That brings me to what we've heard tonight is don't mix positions up. Don't have one person do too many things. And having an economic director, an economic development director, and a communications director as the same person, it will actually dilute the job itself. And I don't think we'll have as an effective a position. And I don't think the two job descriptions or skills are necessarily overlapping or even compatible. The economic development director deals a lot with, or should deal a lot with, statistics and economic development and businesses and business recruitment, whereas the communications director, public information officer is there to market our city and to coordinate communications within our city. And as has been mentioned before, there is a need for our city to get on the same page, literally and figuratively, in terms of the message that we're presenting to the people. I know when we went, the council, four of us went to Las Vegas earlier this year, or last month, it was noted that, Selma, great city, but who are you? What do you stand for? And we need to make sure that people know that, who want to locate their businesses here, who want to buy land, who want to live here. We want to present that message, and we want our community to have that reinforced with our website, which is in need of, to put it lightly, it's in need of attention and improvement and more direction, which again, the communications director, public information officer would provide. So before I open it up to the council, my position on this has not changed, and in fact is even further strengthened with discussions with the interim city manager since this agenda item came out, in which we discussed the need, and I believe we came to a meeting of minds on the need for this particular individual office. And so I reiterate that need for this particular position. And I ask for council support with this and with moving forward to making this a job position, opening the period for job application tomorrow, the day after this council, and then closing it the day before the next regular council meeting on July 1. And again, this is a position which would report to the city council, so the city council would evaluate the applications, and that would be in closed session at the July 1 meeting, after which, if council so decides, that position would be offered to the applicant it feels is most qualified to move forward with this position for a salary range of $92,000 to $120,000 with the steps. Does council have any comments at this time?
I have a comment.
Yeah,
Go.
no, go ahead and take council comment, then I do have a comment.
Okay, I just want to make a comment in regards to what the mayor stated. This is a game changer for the city of Selma. And like we're saying, when we went to Las Vegas, the technology that you have to approach or have to have when you're there, we're behind the ball. We're way behind, and we need to be up there with the people that are showing better technology of their city and professionalism. I'll give you an example. You go, and I'm not putting anybody down, but I'm making a statement because I'd like to entice the city manager position. Go into Los Banos is a city manager website. They don't just put all the requirements of who they're looking for. They sell that city. They put some nice photos. It's enticing. It gives someone that perfect example. You look at it, I want to work for that city just by looking at it. That's what we want in Selma. We need that kind of professionalism in the city. So I don't want to just see a job posting for a city manager. I'd like to see the same kind of outreach that Los Banos is doing or Hanford's doing. You look at them, you're like, wow, I don't know if we're there. Honestly, I don't think we're there. And the only way we can probably get there is having to pay a consultant to do our work for us. So this is why we need this. We need this not because they're selling our city, and we need that professionalism. The other thing is I want to show, I just don't understand the setback, because I'll give you an example. The animal control director supposedly was the best of the best that we found from the whole Fresno County. She was the best. That's all we kept hearing. She was getting $136,000, $139,000 a year to be the best. And look how that turned out. So we need to open our eyes, people, and this is what we're going for. I just don't understand why the resistance, but I agree with the mayor, and I think that this is the way we're going to move our city forward, so.
The manager.
Councilmember?
We,
Done?
yeah,
Okay,
you know,
then we'll go to city
you're
manager.
right, sir. When we went to Vegas, I was actually a fortunate one. You guys were busy going this other way. I was talking to actually a gentleman from the big city of LA and in one of the areas. And, and he told me the way he sold his city was marketing person. You have a marketing person. He told me straight up. He says, hey, I come to these events. I got my marketing guy over there. He's already working the system already. A marketer and selling the city is selling the city the way it is. I mean, the tool. He says, he told me straight up, if you don't have it, you can't grow. That's what he said. You cannot grow. And this is an out area where you're competing against each other. And this guy was very, very straightforward. And that's the game changer in the game. If you want to be in the game, you have to be professional as far as a marketing, as far as putting the photos and selling your city the best of the best. You have to sell it. If you don't sell it, they're not going to come see you. When you're there at the trade show, oh man, I remember I see your thing on the website. Here's a card. Oh man, I see that God, it was a totally game changer. The guy, he told me straight up.
Important.
And that's the future.
Anybody else? City manager?
I'd just like to comment, I think, you had we have an opportunity to, because we don't have an economic director, to kind of combine them here, if you will. You can always separate them later, if you will. Obviously, the salary range that we're proposing is a little bit higher, but I just think that there's a chance to not have to pause economic development. If we would have had our director still here, I think the conversation changes a little bit. But there's just an opportunity that presented itself. Obviously, with changes made to the budget, it kind of changes that a little bit. The other thing I'd like to point out is I don't know for sure, I'd have to defer to the HR director, but I think we're required to advertise a certain length of time for positions. Is that true?
So we do have an internal policy to where the minimum amount is 2 weeks. And it is one to where we would not be able to open it tomorrow because we have to enter the information into NeoGov. And that's not something that we're able to do. So we would have to develop a timeline, and we can definitely submit that to you via email to let you know like what the timeline itself is. But we have to make sure that all of the recruitments do not overlap with others because we do have several that are already open. And if we have them close at the exact same time, it's not efficient for our working in order to go through those. Because we have to, with the recruitment, we do have to review the applications, and the ones that will be submitted to council will be the ones that meet the minimum qualifications based on the job description.
Got it. This is a council hire, so we want all the applications, whether they meet the requirements or not. It's council hire. So, and in terms of the internal, even if they're not eligible, we want to know who applied. Okay, so we're going to have an issue here with the internal timeline of 2 weeks when this is a council hire, and we're looking to do this. As the mayor pro tem indicated, the urgency on this is a city manager search, which we don't have a present staff that can do a lot of marketing on that. And that is no knock against our present staff, but we do not have anyone with that technical expertise to sell the sizzle, to entice city management as we're city managers, as the mayor pro tem just discussed. So there is a note of urgency here. And in this case, council very well has the ability to override the internal rule that you're saying of the 2 weeks, in which case I would submit to council to override that internal rule. In this case, since we're making the decision, you're not making the hire, we are making this hire. This position reports to city council, as we've indicated many times now. So let's get on the same page here. Let's get on the same page and all work together on this, as we all want to work together. We want your workload lesson in HR, as you've asked for. Help us to market our city and do what the citizens, our bosses have asked us to do, which is market our city. We've never had a position like this, and it really is time. With all due respect to the city manager, economic development and marketing and communications, it's a little apples and orangey, so I just don't see that as a good mix at this time. But we are keeping that economic development position. We want to recruit for that. We want to do it. But right now, the priority is this position right here and finding savings with these other positions. So respectfully, before I open this to the public, we would like that recruitment period to end the day before the next council meeting so we can look at those applications. That would be my request, and we'll see if the council bears that up. And we appreciate the extra work on your part to do so. With that, we'll open up this matter to the public. If council doesn't have any more comments. Anybody have a comment? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment at this time?
With their hands raised.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I don't think there's any argument that this position is needed. I do feel that.
Could you state your name, sir?
Mike Cosenza.
Thank you.
I don't think there's any argument that the position is needed and that the City of Selma could benefit from the services that this person could provide. I think the issue is the urgency that the council is putting behind this. I received a phone call, and I don't even know any of the business owners. I received a phone call from a business owner that alluded that it was shady, is what they had told me. And you mentioned City of Hanford. I retired from the City of Hanford, so I'm pretty well versed in what goes on over there. That's a represented position. It's actually in a bargaining unit, and so I don't know why this wouldn't be one. We could submit a unit determination with California Public Relations Board and let them decide where it would be. Their time to board is about 38 weeks right now. And so I just think it shouldn't be somebody that reports to the council. I mean, I think that it's just not passing the smell test, and that's what I'm hearing a lot of. That's my comment.
Anybody else with a comment? Okay, with that, we'll bring the matter back to council. And again, this is a cross-discipline position. They would operate within the framework of the city manager on daily activities. They would operate within the city, but it would be a council hire and it would report to the council initially.
That is correct.
And legally, are there any ramifications of doing that?
There are no legal ramifications to doing that. That's exactly the same thing we're planning on doing with respect to your chief of police, your city clerk, and your fire chief. And technically, it's not such a dramatic separation from the city manager form of government. This council can only act as a body, and you can only do that when you're here at a meeting. So when you are out of session, that means that person is supervised and controlled by your administrative head of government, which is your city manager. And all you're doing by making it a city council appointed position is making yourself the appointing authority. It effectively means this and only this. You get a vote on whether or not this person is appointed, whether or not this person is terminated. That's all it means.
Very good. Bring it back to council. City manager?
Just if you're, for the resolution, we need to make some changes so that we don't have to bring it back to you again. So you could, if you would direct us to, for instance, in the third line where it says Economic Development Director, be the Public Information Officer. And it'll be in the second whereas, the same thing, but the Public Information Officer. In section 2, same thing there, Public Information Officer. Then we would scratch the allocated to the Economic Development Department, just scratch that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the salary range would be 92,000 to 120. And then the last change would be item B, Instead of economic development director, it'd be public information officer.
Great. And this will be an open interview process. We've directed staff to give us all the applications. Sir, there'll be nothing shady about this. I don't know who's calling you, but probably a critic of the open government process. So with that, we will make those changes that the city manager has asked for to make this position, this resolution complete, given what council's indicated tonight. Is there a motion to approve what we've talked about tonight with the timeline?
Well, I'll make that motion that he just.
With the timeline,
Timeline.
with us reviewing the with the council reviewing the applications
Yeah, with
at the next council meeting on July 1.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
No.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Moving on, item 5.3, this is
And just so it's clear on the record, Mayor, what you've approved is the resolution 2025 47R as amended by your city manager on the record.
That's correct. Thank you, city attorney. Thank you, city manager. Well, both of you. Item 5.3, information only, discussion regarding High Street Cafe and Schaefer Park lighting projects. Back to Director Hunt.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. So as I mentioned earlier in my department update, we'll be meeting tomorrow with the representative from Musco Lighting at Schaefer Park at 10 o'clock to walk through their design and to answer so that they can answer any questions that the council may have or that we might have for them regarding design, warranty, or any of those types of items with their product. As far as the downtown light project, our low bid came in extremely high above the engineer's estimated cost. I've published some emails this week regarding that. I'm looking at the bid result right now. I can see that there's some line items that are extremely inflated from what the engineer's estimated cost was to what the contractor, which was C3 Electric, what their cost was for those line items. So as I discussed in my emails and earlier in the department update, I'll be meeting with the city engineer upon his return from vacation. We will go through this bid and we will try to value engineer it to the best of our ability, probably bring it back to council for a discussion item, and then place it back out to bid.
Thanks, Director. What's that going to do to the timeline of the installation of the lights? Let's say we get this value engineered and get it dialed in a little more and we get a few more bids in the next one. What are we looking at in terms of when this job could be awarded, when they could get started?
So I know the city engineer Horn should be back next week. I believe he returns from vacation. We'll need a day or two to go through it. He'll have to value engineer with his electrical engineer. I would say by the end of that week, within 5 days, they should have it value engineered. We can bring it back. I would say we could probably bring something back at the first council meeting in July, if council requests that, to go over what our value engineer product actually looks like for final job. And then at that point, we'll have to put it back out to public bid, which means we advertise for 2 weeks, and then we have the bid opening the following week.
Okay. So conceivably, we could get this thing started and done by a September or October finish date?
Theoretically, yes, sir. If we can get a bid that's sustainable for the city to enter into a contract with to get that done, I can foresee that being completed by then, yes.
Quick question, what's the difference between an engineer's estimate and a relook with a value engineering? What's the difference?
So the engineer's estimate basically is the engineer uses current standard industry cost pricing for the bid and the scope that they're placing out. So you can see in the bid item, there's 1 through 13 for the base bid. And what they do is they put that together to give the city an idea of what this project is going to theoretically cost. When you value engineer, you go back through a bid that, for instance, this one that's been put out, the public bid that comes in substantially higher. And at that point, we can go back and take a second look at, hey, do we really want to crisscross lights across the road, or maybe we want to just go down the sidewalk? What would be the cost variation or the delta in doing that? Those types of things are value engineering. So we basically would go back through from start to finish the entire project. Within a couple of days, I would assume that we could get through that. And those are the things that we would look at. And that would be the kind of stuff that we would bring back to the council to propose as a valued engineer change to the project before it goes out to public bid.
Okay,
I have a question.
go for it.
Director Hahn, this is Councilman Oseguera. On that bid that we received, is there any way they can type it at least? Because I mean, that wasn't a very professional bid. It was all handwritten. Some stuff was scratched out. I mean, it's like, I have never seen a bid being done like that. You know, when I used to work for the county, we used to get bids and stuff, and they were, you know, they were at least typed. So and
Right,
also,
yes,
the,
sir.
also
Go
on the
ahead.
Schaefer lights, we got a cost of 280,000 for the poles and the lights, right?
No, what that was in the email was I've looked into getting, basically buying material from different vendors and through Sourcewell and actually installing the lights just like we would with the Musco lights. So what I've done is I've looked at what the cost of those light poles and those light heads or fixtures would cost to do the 14 lights that we have in the park existing, or what was existing previously. And that 280,000 is what it would cost for that material. What I put in that email, and we can discuss this further or even tomorrow when we meet at Schaefer Park. What you get with that cost of 280,000 is that the city still will have to go through, number one, going through the pole testing with a outside third-party engineering company to see if the foundations that we have currently from the previous lights would accommodate the new lights that we're looking at, that I got that $280,000 cost put together for. Would they accommodate those? If they don't accommodate, if they do accommodate them, great, then we can use the foundations, but staff still has to assemble and put them up. With those lights, with the light heads, I looked at the best ones I could find. You get a 5-year warranty with that. With the poles, you get a 1-year warranty. With Musco lights, you get a 25-year don't touch it at all warranty, which what I mean by that is that if you look at what I sent you in the email, Councilman Oseguera, it actually gives you a breakdown, and I highlighted in yellow so that it stood out to the council members that Musco literally maintains that system for 25 years. I don't even change a light bulb in those lights. And then again, tomorrow, I don't want to be long-winded because we have a lot to go over, but tomorrow we can discuss further the options that Musco offers with that lighting system. What I can tell you, sir, is that Dinuba, City of Dinuba, as well as Selma Unified School District at the water complex or the swim complex has used Musco lights in the last 6 months. Those systems have been installed. And I think the main reason, I've spoke to Marty Hooten quite a bit about the Musco lights going in at the swim complex. What you get with that light, the warranty, the tech service, the IT support, and then the maintenance that they give you, it's hard to beat. So those were the differences between the Musco lights. They were the quote that I got for those. I believe they gave us 2 options on that, and the options were a little over 600,000 was one of them. And okay, so the top end option was 627,975. And what that is that's giving you a certain foot candle amount of light, but it's giving you a circumference of 50 feet in every direction, 360 degrees. The second option is 497,165, and that gives you a 30-foot radius. So again, those are things we can discuss more and help me understand more tomorrow when we meet with the representative from Musco. But even that option, we're still looking at staff self-performing the installation on that light system. So
So did the Musco system, do they come with the poles too?
yes, the Musco system, Mayor Robertson, comes with the poles, it comes with the light heads, it comes with all of the technology because I believe it's all Wi-Fi'd. And it also comes with precast foundations, which means that if we use the Musco lighting system, sir, we do not have to use the old foundations. And one of the things that I discussed with Musco through the design phase of this about a month ago was that some of those lights that we had bad corrosion on, they actually sit within the water line of the ponds when we get heavy rainstorms and those ponds fill up. So part of what we did was design to pull some of those out of the ponding areas and put them into areas that were outside of the water line. So those also come with those foundations. You literally drill a hole, you stick the foundation in, you level it, you pour concrete around it to secure it. Once that's secured, you stand the lights up with a crane and you hook the power up and you're good to go.
I saw some of the elevations are different in that bid you sent over. Thank you for that. Some are 60 feet, some are 70 feet. Is that due to the hills around there, or what's that due to?
It is. It's because those lights, because the way that the lights have to sit for a ball field like that, they have to sit at a certain elevation. The ones that are down in the pond, those are 10 feet longer than the poles that sit around the top edge of the pond. So that's your difference in the pole length.
Is it okay if all of us show up tomorrow? All of us council members? If so, we can't really have a discussion like you're saying, have a discussion. We have to kind of listen to the Musco rep, and that's
You
that.
can listen to what he tells you, but you guys can't discuss it.
Okay. So you might
Is
have
it okay? Is it
several.
okay to ask questions regarding Musco's product?
It's okay for you to ask questions, right? The Public Works Director?
Yeah, I think he's asking whether it's okay for you folks to ask questions.
Right.
He knows it all, right? So and that is certainly okay.
Just not discuss the answers.
What is prohibited is the three or more of you discussing among yourselves and deliberating on a matter that is city business.
Which should be
and
deliberated
which
here.
is installation of these poles.
Okay, got it. Got the distinction. And that's 10 o'clock tomorrow with Schaefer, correct?
That is correct, sir.
But asking questions to Moscow reps or whoever's there.
Asking questions to their representatives or to Michael, that is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Anything else, Director?
No, sir. That's my update.
Any comments from public? Come on up. Commissioner?
Since I am on the Parks and Recreation Commission, am I allowed to go there tomorrow, or is this a closed meeting? I mean, I would like to kind of get an idea and bring it back to actually tomorrow evening, we have a meeting. with
Great.
Parks and Recreation.
Really timely.
Nothing
But-
that prohibits her from doing that.
Public park.
Okay, I just want to know, because I am on the Parks and this is something that we discuss on all of our meetings, to get updates and where we are with it, and the public, people call me and text me what's going on with the lighting. I like to be able to communicate with them.
I can ask questions of the Musco rep and the Public Works Director, but we can't discuss it
I
with each
understand
other.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but, okay, I just wanted to ask that question if
o'clock.
I'm able to do so.
Ask
Thank you.
questions.
Yeah. Chica.
My question is, you guys, there is a bid for both the High Street and Schaefer Park, is that correct? Can you tell me the bid for High Street lights? From,
There's a bid that came in at over 500,000.
or this is for High Street, is that
Yeah,
correct?
for the cafe lights between First and Second Street.
And this is through Musco. The only.
No,
this
the
on-
cafe lights are through another contractor, through a open bid process, a sealed bid process, sorry.
Where did they put, where do they put this for people to bid? Is it a trade newspaper, or how do they put it out there to bid?
I don't think the I don't think the Shaper Park lights have been put out to bid. I think this is just, will that be? It's a good question. Will
If-
the
if
Shaper
I
Park
may-
lights be put out?
I think that the answer.
If I can, Mr. Mayor, I can answer both those questions.
Okay.
So, Schaefer Park lights we're using our purchasing cooperative, which is Sourcewell, which is a pre-vetted purchasing co-op that allows us to go through them to use contractors for purchasing of materials. So that's what we're using for Schaefer Park lights. C3 Electrical, who was low bid for the downtown lights, that goes to public bid, and those are advertised in local newspapers. And that is something that contractors usually, it is a regular thing that they look in for any capital improvement projects coming up in like a county area locality. So that's how those are advertised.
By any chance I just received the brewery district where they have their lights over. Was that someone they can reach out to and get a bid from there? Because I mean, that looks about what we're looking for. It looks like our downtown, if you look at the picture. So I don't know if that they reached out. I mean, it's just a lot of money for something like this.
Yeah,
But
the estimate was
I would totally get that it could be cost wise, but I still would think it'd be a great opportunity to get other bids and to see what the difference is with other people and for this is
You're
a
talking about
perfect.
Schaefer Park.
Oh,
now,
I'm
correct?
talking about High Street.
High Street, okay.
Right. I'm talking about High Street right now, but that's in general with anything we bid in the city, you would absolutely get other bids. I mean, reach out. This is a perfect example for I'm just talking about High Street right now, but there has to be other Schaefer lights for that park as well that I just think we just need to advertise a little better. That's just my position and hopefully we can do a better job at that so other people will come in and bid because we absolutely should get at least 3 bids on everything we do in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I took a minute over time.
Hi, Teresa Salas. I just want to give my 2 cents as far as the companies that you're looking at for the Schaefer Park lights. Granted, Moscow is much more expensive, but when you're looking at the warranty, when you're looking at the length of time that you don't have to do anything, Public Works is not going to have to put their time into putting these things in and repairing them or anything else for 25 years. It's going to make a big difference in what the city is spending. We don't have to pay our Public Works guys to go and fix things when the warranty runs out or even when it's still under warranty. So I think that, and then the fact that the school district has those same lights in their swimming pool area. They're another big agency, somebody that we can communicate with to find out how they're liking that product. And it's somebody here close by. It's not some town 50 miles away. It's somebody in our backyard that we can talk to and see what their interaction has been with that company and get a really good idea of what we're going to get for the amount of money that they're asking for.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody online?
No hands raised at this time.
Great, thank you. That will bring this back. Does anybody have another question or comment for the Public Works Director before we say goodnight? With that, we'll say thank you, and now we will close this agenda item, which was a discussion item only. Looking forward to that tour tomorrow to look at the Musco lights. And now we're going to move on to future agenda items. Does council have any request for future agenda items, which is not subject to public comment? Items require a consensus.
I have one, Neil. I would like for you to, last week, Fresno City Council, they are looking to revise an ordinance for building owners that haven't did anything to their buildings in downtown over by the Tower District. they're looking at trying to do an incentive plan and help these building owners do something like renovate their building, or if they choose not to, they want them to sell their building at, I believe, a market value so that someone could come in and put a business there. It just so that the city looks better. And it's, again, we'd have some of these buildings that are, I have to say, they're, nuisance. Hasn't done anything in years, and it holds back our city. So I'd like you to look into that, please, and if you can bring that back.
It's a pilot program.
Mhm.
I believe it's only applicable to the Tower District.
Right.
If you were to do that here, I would guess, without knowing where all the vacant buildings are, that you would probably.
Right. Okay.
So we will take a look at that and
Thank you.
As we discussed earlier, I'd like to bring back agenda item to combine Pioneer Village and Parks and Community Service Commission. We need to make that a formal future agenda item. Anybody with any future agenda items? Compton.
Jim? Got a lot of. I just want to bring back the one that I requested a while back from our city attorney about the dog dumping. It's getting worse here in Selma.
about the animal dumps.
Yeah, animal dumping. What else? I had another one, but I forgot. Anyways, if I remember, I can come back. Jim? I think I threw him for a loop.
It's all right. No, I like to bring back the, on the agenda on the leasing the vehicles in our community. Okay, I wanna know how many leases we totally have and how many leases are going to be up on those issues.
That all departments?
And also, looking at other avenues is, if we're gonna lease vehicles, lease them in our community. We have two dealerships here that are willing to work with the city of Selma. I think we should look at those avenues.
Want to invite them to the
We can invite
meeting
them.
for that agenda
We
item?
can invite them on the agenda.
Anybody else?
I just remember, can I go ahead and before I let Councilman Trujillo speak, is that okay, Councilman? I just remember before I forget, there was, I don't know, there was a resolution, on the percentages that go from the Measure K. That goes 50, 30, 20. I wanted to see
30,
about
50.
changing that to 40, 30, 30, because I think we need to allocate a little more to, the Art Center.
The TOT measure.
Yes. We call it Measure K because,
Yes.
that's what we voted for. And also, we're gonna go see the Art Center because we wanna make sure that, they've been asking for repairs for, for a long time. Even when I was in the commission, we were asking for repairs, but it never came to fruition. So, we asked, the director of the Art Center to give us a tour and show us, because some of the stuff is pretty bad already. Kind of like when she bought the microphones for them. I didn't know that they were using those microphones in a frequency that they weren't supposed to be using. It was illegal for them to use it. But because that's all they had, So when Director Amy Smart came in, she took care of that like real quick, like. So if anybody wants to join us, once I confirm a date with Nicolette, she wants to show us what they're talking about. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, we will move on to council reports. Councilmember Trio? Councilmember Avalos?
Of course.
Is your
I
report?
was gonna be last.
There's
Too
the-
bad.
there's the- okay.
No,
But it could be last. I can go.
no, I'm only kidding. We had this Saturday, we had a ribbon cutting at El Toro Market. Great turnout, very turnout. And also on that same day, we had the Portuguese festival celebration, you know, and it was a great event over there. They started from this on Dockery, St. Joseph's Church, and all the way down to the Portuguese Hall. And a bizarre story about that, about the celebration and how it ended up in Selma. It actually started up north at a church called St. Joseph's of all places, and it came back to the city of Selma, St. Joseph's Church. Portuguese is a great event. What it is, it's a Sopis Festival. It's a great event. It's a celebration of the heritage of the Portuguese event, and it's a marching parade. The Queen, and they give you a bread and like soup meat. It's with like cabbage. Very delicious, guys. When you have a chance to attend one of these things, hey, yeah, of course they have raffles, so you can win things, but the event is free. It's free. It's like anything else is in celebrations. When you have celebration, like, it's free, and it's learned about the cultures. In this country, we're built on cultures, and the cultures we learn from each other. It's a great learning in our society, because look at our country. We have pizza, the Italians. We have Kentucky Fried Chicken, the South. We have Chinese food. I mean, this country is built on great people in this country, and we should be blessed that we live in this United States of this country. That's all I gotta say.
Good.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. Councilman Oseguera?
I attended the Toro Loco grand opening. It was a wonderful event, a lot of free food, a lot of raffles, a lot of networking with different people. Got to meet the owners and a lot of great people out there. So we're glad that someone's bringing in more businesses to keep making our city better. And there's a lot of more good things to come. So thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I also attended the El Toro Loco ribbon cutting. And it was amazing to see how many people came out from our community just to be there to support, not just everybody coming together, which meant so much because the owners were so amazing that they got this done. And I remember talking to them a few years back, and they said they were going to do it, and they did. And it was an amazing turnout. And that's what it's about, is opening these businesses, giving people here opportunity, jobs opportunity, choices is what we say, Everybody's going like another meat market or another store, but you know what? For us, I don't have to drive all the way to Walmart now. I don't have to drive to all these other stores. I mean, I have a choice. I could go here. It's closer for me. We talk about we're blessed to have more stores than other cities that probably don't even have one, so that's a blessing, and we're going to continue that, opening businesses here. We have people talking, and they really love Selma. So I see some good businesses coming in the future. The other thing is I did attend the Portuguese Festa celebration. I attended the mass, and one thing that did stick with me was also our culture, the Portuguese culture. This festival is uniting everyone. And that's what we need right now. What's going on in the world, that's such a tragic right now, and it's tough. We can't control what's going on in the other world, or we can't control the whole nation, but what we can control is our city. And working together, becoming united, doing things, helping each other, that's what we're about. And I think that, people see that, and people see the vision. And I just think that our future is really going to prosper. And I just can't wait till we can announce these businesses that are coming. So that's coming. The other thing I just want to mention, and I always say that I hate to be Debbie Downer, but I get these calls, of course, that's what we're here to hear. We're here to listen, not only just to the good, but the bad. We have citizens that are complaining about certain things like Rite Aid that is now going to be closing. And if you look at their landscaping, it looks terrible, you know, and there's a fire hydrant right on the north side of Rite Aid. You can't see it. I mean, the weeds are about 6 feet high, and I'm not exaggerating. It's really bad. You know, these are things that we have to look at, and I just wonder whose responsibility is that? Because you can't tell me that us and staff and everybody else doesn't see that. We see it, you know? So who's responsible for getting that cleared up? The other thing is, again, I got another complaint. You go to Cattleman's, and I've seen it myself. There's that sign that says Selma that's on that it's not, it's next door to Cattleman's. It looks horrible. It's old, it's in bad shape. It really needs to come down because that's not a good image for our city. And it's honestly, it's not a good image for Cattleman's. And I feel sorry for them because when you walk, I mean, you drive through there, that's the sign you see, and it's horrible. So I really think that if we can't do anything to improve that, or paint it or do something, take it down. It's terrible.
Don't we own that property and they lease it from us?
We do. We do.
We can take it down.
Okay, because it's really bad. The other thing I want to say is there's a church that's right in the corner, right when you drive into Cattleman's. I believe it's a church. I think it's a vacant building now because there's a for sale sign. But again, the weeds are about 6 foot high. It's horrible. The trees are growing all over the place. I mean, I get it. People are going to sell it, but they got to keep that up because it's not fair to Home Depot. That is a big business in our community that keeps, you go to their landscaping is beautiful. You know, they keep up their, if they see even trash, they have their workers out there picking up trash. I mean, we have to set some precedents and some guidelines for our businesses. You know, they do their part. Why can't we enforce something for these people that don't keep up their properties? Or that's what I'm talking about. You know, we need to do something because
Both of those situations are a fire hazard.
Right,
exactly.
You should be able to have abatement.
Yeah,
And they have so many days to clean it up. If they don't, the city will go in and then we
Right.
lien the property.
Mhm. I mean, I just hope that we could do something about that because it's really a nuisance and it's not fair to those businesses that are, you know, they bring revenue to our city. And if they're doing their part, we need to do our part. So those were the complaints that I did receive. It for me.
All right, thank you. Went to the El Toro Loco opening, was a great day. They've been through a lot of things that a lot of businesses have. They're kind of a symbol of all the businesses. They've had to go through red tape with city, county permits. They've had to go through the endless waiting for PG&E. They had to replace the pole out there. I mean, they've faced a lot of the same obstacles that all the businesses have. But you know what they did? They stuck together. They unified and they made it a teamwork approach. They teamed with the city, they teamed with PG&E, they teamed with the council. They partnered, and I think that's the theme of what we've been through tonight. We're seeing our city coming together and partnering to make it a better city. Couple of items that came up. One of them was a Portuguese festival. We had the fire department go out and talk to the folks in the parade and say, "What are you doing here? We got to use the street. We got to use Dockery. If we have to get through here in an emergency, you guys got to clear out." Well, they got a permit, and what I'm wondering is maybe the city could kind of examine how all the departments are informed about permits. You know, we all know the Sikh parade, you know, the roads that they close because they do it every year for 30 years. But Portuguese Festa has done the same thing for a long time. And it was just kind of surprising that it seemed to be a surprise to one of the departments in the city. Another item that in the future that kind of came up when we were talking about the commissions and voting on the commissions, the commission members. we were looking for an attendance record. And for some, they're available, but for some other commissions, they're not readily available. So the city attorney suggested maybe doing a resolution or having an agenda item where the city formalizes a need for everybody who's taking notes or taking the minutes for these commission meetings, sends those notes in after the meeting so that we have a clearinghouse with the city clerk on a city file that anybody can access, showing who's been at those meetings and when and what happened at those meetings. So we're seeing that that's inconsistent.
That is a procedure that I'm working on implementing now that I am city clerk. So I do see a really large need for that. And I have reached out, such as I did with Liz with Recreation Services today, and she quickly put that together for me. So I'm going to continue that. And then we will have a file that's solely for the commissions, their meeting minutes, and their attendance records.
Because as you see, when there's a lot of people applying, sometimes it can come down to who's showed up and who hasn't for the meetings. So I really think it's important to keep that kind of information.
Correct. And
in a
I will be
centralized area.
I will be asking for monthly updates from them so that it's kept current. I don't know that there's a need necessarily for an ordinance. It's because I'm working on
Yeah, we was just-
a procedure.
particular person to maintain the notes, and that could be, typically it would be like the community development director is assigned to be the secretary for the planning commission, and
Correct.
that
And
person
we
could be
we do have people in place. Unfortunately, they were not directed to give that information to the city clerk, and they will be directed from here on out to do that as I'm putting that procedure into place.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. And it sounds like it might even be something for the good old public information officer when that position gets filled. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Thank you. And do we have anybody who would like to give oral communications at this time to end our evening, which is ending before 9 o'clock, it appears?
Say that because she's gonna speak.
Well, okay.
Now it should be easy because Pioneer Village hasn't had a meeting, so there's a lot of check marks on that one. But anyway, I have a couple of things. I'd like to know the status of the lot on Bowder. And I think it's Second Street, catty corner to Washington School, where it's an empty lot with a big old ugly pole. I think we've discussed it before in the meetings. And it just kind of went dead. It's that big old gas station across from Star One.
Give me the PDQ.
It's bad. It's a sore eye. I'm going to piggyback off of what Councilman Guerra was saying. I'd like to know what the status of that property is and what's going on with that. And also on the 43, between Nissan dealership and the overpass, who's responsible for that maintenance of that? Because the weeds are coming out of the sidewalk and, right in the island area there and right off the freeway. And the reason why I bring this up is because Joe and I are really good friends with the regional manager from Costco, of all places, that Joe just retired from. And she travels a lot through Selma. She's a regional manager. She goes around and looks at all of her stores from Fresno to Hanford to Visalia. And she comes from Sacramento into Selma and sometimes gets off the Floral exit and will get on the 43 to go to Hanford when she visits that store. Well, she brought it to my attention. I see it all the time because I live in that area. Every time I go to Food for Less or something, I'm like, who is responsible for this? She also gets off on 2nd Street where the gas station is when she's going to Visalia. Sometimes she'll make a pit stop there. And she's brought that to my attention. She's like, traveling through that freeway, off the freeway, you see all these eyesores in your town. I go, I know, Elaine, but I'm not responsible for them. But she brings it to us because she's a regional manager of Costco. She's pretty up there, and we want some good businesses to be coming to town. We need to clean up some of these places. So that's why I'm piggybacking off of what Sarah was saying. And then also really quick, I just like to know what the status of the state foods is that's supposed to be coming to the Save Mart building. what's, if anybody knows what's the status of that, if we can get an update of, maybe it's still in the planning portion or application process, that would be great.
If you drive by, they have they already applied for a liquor permit.
Okay,
It's on the door. So you'll probably see some action pretty soon.
okay, okay. Okay, well, that's all that I had. So we can just get a status on the cleanup of those spots. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody online or on the phone? Oh, and one last item before we say goodnight. Flag Day. We didn't have our flags out. Can we make sure that on days when we commemorate the flag, that we do have our flags in our flag poles? The Public Works usually does a great job with that, but we missed Flag Day this year. Thank you. And with that, we'll wish everybody a good night. Thank you for coming out.
Oh, look at that, 1 minute to now.
Have a good trip.
Thank you. Mrs. Cook was gonna see John tonight.